腹減りましたね。
Oh, where's my...
途中で食事に寄った方が良かったんじゃないですか？
そうです
Oh
ね。
yeah, so what was happening that these guys got to go to Rika's, but do the mountain dogs get to them
もうすぐ8
first?
時か。お昼が遅かったから忘れてました。とりあえず話を聞いたら、おたふくにお茶漬けでも食べに行きましょう。
警官を4人行かせてましたよね。交代を送らないと答える頃ですね。フルデさんが気を利かせて出前でも取っててくれればいいんですがね。
Really? I think you're first, Ruben. Unless somebody renewed it, but I didn't see anything. Oh, there we go. You are first. Nice. There you go. Oishi and Kumaga had passed through Okinomiya, and we were getting closer and closer to Hinamizawa. Let's go, Ruben. How are you doing? They hurried on their way, driving through the dark streets.
フルでリカの全てを話そうっていうのはとても気になるっすよね。
多分
Doing well,
相
nice.
当とんでもない話が飛び出しますよ。あの村はね、本当の名前は鬼ヶ淵
Yeah, I'm
村。
doing well as well.
鬼ヶ淵ってのは沼ですからね。沼の名を冠した村なわけです。
沼なだけにそこが知れませんね。フルでリカの護衛ですけどどうします？
Excuse me.
彼女の話次第では秘密の場所にかくまった方がいいでしょうね。ひなみ沢ってのは村が丸ご
I
と
don't
魔
know
物
why.
の
I
口
feel
中
like
と
these
同じ
guys
な
are
んです。
not gonna meet up. Like, either the mountain dogs are gonna jump them before they reach them, or like somehow, you know, they're gonna arrive and everyone's gonna be dead. Like the officers and like like everyone who's inside the place. I don't know why. I just get that feeling.
あの村の中では何が起こるかわからない。とにかく聞いてみないことにはわかりません。
フルデ家の当主が命を狙われていて、園崎家次期当主はそれを守ろうと思っている。そんな状況下で誰がフルデリカを？あとは君吉家くらいしか勢力が思いつかないです。
君吉家には臭い話は聞い
Everyone's
て
been
ないん
raising
だ
death
けど
flag.
な。
Yeah, I agree. Hello, Dianea.
やっぱり村には信仰を軸にした狂信的な勢力が隠れてるってのかな。沼の底がどうなってるのか楽
Think
し
you
みです
finished episode 1. Oh, nice. Took a while, but you finally got there. What was his thoughts at the end of episode 1? The road they were on was cutting through the rice fields, leading them to pass by the scene of Jiro Tomitake's murder.
高野が富武を放置した。そこまでは間違いないと思いますが、富武のあの異常な死に方は一体何だってんでしょう。鑑識のじいさま、覚醒剤は出なかったって言ったんですよね。
I'm not telling you. You could say if we enjoyed it or not. I don't think that is an issue.
確かに薬物反応は出なかったそうですが、だからって絶対なかったって保証はありません。この世にはおかしな薬なんてきっと無数にある。それら全部が間違いなく使われていないなんて保証は誰にも出せませんよ。自分が知らない薬だから実在しないなんて。
I've been when they cried today a lot. I saw him finish. Now watching you finish 7. You wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get it if he enjoyed it or not. Then I'm gonna do 5 after. Oh, well, a lot of stuff then. What time does he stream usually?
あったからにはあるんです。だからきっと富武に首をかき破らせる薬は実在する。そいつは犯人逮捕の折にたっぷり喋ってもらいますよ。あるいはフルでリカが話してくれると一番嬉しいんですがね。
You took a bit of a big break. Like I thought you were gonna start 5 earlier.
クマちゃんも今回の岐阜の件で決めつける捜査がどれだけ冤罪を生
According to
み出
my
してき
time,
た
it's
か。
usually 11 or 12 p.m. Okay, so like maybe I think you're maybe like I can't remember how it works. You're like technically 2 hours before me, if I remember properly, but you're just a day ahead of me, so maybe like 3 p.m. for me right now. Oh, 3 p. Oh, okay. So you're how's it? So it's 8 p.m. for me right now, so you're 5 hours behind me, but like actually opposite because you're a day ahead. Okay. Oh, you're already halfway. Oh, okay, yes, okay. Because I swear I thought I remembered you starting 5 already. So when you said I'm gonna do 5 after, like, you know, it sounded like you were gonna start it at least. But yeah. Yes, 32 hours on 1. Really? Is that how many hours you have, Diane, or do you have more?
ありゃひどかったっすね。あいつうちの署に嫌がったら俺でも許さないところです。
結局最後まで間違いは認めてませんからね。岐阜県警はあくまでもあの死体は高野美代だったで通すつもりのようです。でもうちは高野美代生存でいきますよ。
No, he just pauses and rambles a lot. Okay, makes sense.
あとは県警同士のトップ会談で決着するでしょう。向こうのボンミスは確定してるんですから。
I'll probably do a bit and finish 5 tomorrow, probably. You think 5 is gonna be shorter than the other ones?
認めると
Or
怒ら
do
れ
you
ると
think
思
you're
っ
just gonna
て
get through that
躍起に
much?
なって上塗りしてるんですよね。いやはやそういう体質は改めないといけません。
The car suddenly shook. The concrete road had ended, leaving only gravel. At the point where the gravel road begins, you're officially in Hinamizoa. You continue to drive through the woods for a while.
クマちゃん。
I'm on chapter 10 of 5. Okay, so yeah, you maybe can. You said there was like 18 for chapter 4 or something? The theories go crazy with him. For the longest time, he hated Mion. Why did he hate Mion? Like, what aspect of her did he not like? Or did he just hate her? Like, was he just sus of her? Or did he, like, have some reason he just didn't like her? Did he find her annoying or something else? I'm guessing it's gonna be 20 or so like 4. Okay.
ちょいと止めて。
は？
Oishi had told him to stop immediately. My guy quickly slammed on the brakes. Their seatbelts tightened up, keeping them in their seats.
どうしたんですか？
あの車。何やってんだろうな。
Chapter 2 colored his opinion. Oh, okay. Oishi tapped on the rearview mirror. There was a van parked just off the road. Rather beat up. It looked like it was used for a private company. There's no reason for someone to park their car here, especially at this time of night. My guy also thought it looked suspicious. The car seemed empty, but there was a light flashing in the woods nearby. Probably a flashlight.
不審ですね。こんな時間に。それにしてもよく気づきましたね。
いつも言ってます。刑事は四六時中目を皿にしてろってことです。何やってんだろうな。不法投棄かな。まさか死体埋めてるんじゃないだろうな。あるいは刺激不足のアベックかな。車のセンスからしてそれはないか。なあ、沖宮 PS どうぞ、聞こえてるかな。なはは、こんばんは、さようなら。
こちら沖宮 PS 関東良好です。
Until chapter 5 came around and you realized his sin. So, what did he think of Shion then? Before the entirety of chapter how do you say? Like, for example, before chapter 5, what did he think of before chapter 5, what do you think of Shion?
獅子骨歯の
不詳獅子骨歯の4344。
Yeah, let me know what you think of it, Diana, once you do your Higurashi character tier list.
少々お時間もらいますが、
Because
よ
I
ろしい
remember
ですか
you and Surplus had like flipped top or reverse top fives.
お願いします。
My Rena stocks have been rising the more I think about her. Nice, yeah. Dude, I really think she's like, she really is my favorite character. Like easily in this entire how do you say? Series, I guess you can call it. I don't know what you call Higurashi, the whole saga. I have no clue. If I recall correctly, you saw as the annoying, manipulative little sister. Oh, for Shion. Yeah, I think that's fair.
おいさん、地図で見るとここ電話会社の施設がありますね。
電話会社の施設って何ですかそりゃ。
It was listed as a facility, but it wasn't staffed. It was just a place where machines were installed. Kumagai wasn't sure how telephone lines actually work, but either way, it seemed like some kind of connecting device was located here.
普通のワゴンだよな。電話会社にゃ見
He
えません
atoned for his sin
ね。
after ending Chapter 5, filling out a Mion apology letter on stream. He even cosplayed as Mion one time. What is that? That's so funny.
電話会社ならそう書いた車で来るはずっすよね。
委託の伝説業者か何かの可能性もあります。直接聞いた方が早そうですね。
Oishi wasn't sure if that was the case. After all, why would any phone company go do maintenance so late at night?
ちょいと行ってみましょうか。フォルデさんたちを待たせてますからね。パパッと行きましょう。
そうっすね。
His well-honed detective instinct was trying to tell him something. This feeling wasn't one that Oishi could easily explain. He has a strong sense that something was suspicious, without any real reasoning behind it. I mean, I would imagine he did that on stream. I can't imagine he would do that off stream. But my list at the time was Rika, Takano, Shion, Keiichi, Satoko. The surpluses were the complete reverse. Yes, I remember that. Oishi trusted that he could judge other characters with that sense.
ウグイス2よりウグイス1車両が1台停車
Oh, wait, they're gonna be a standoff! Because if I said Takano, you'd question it heavily. Not necessarily. Honestly, like, I always felt there was something more to her, but I don't think you saying your favorite saying that she's one of your favorite characters would necessarily, like, tip me off about anything.
2人おりました
But I mean, that's fair.
おそらく刑事です
Like, why would Takano be your second favorite? I guess maybe you find out more about her, like, later on, but I don't know. She hardly shows up. Makes sense. But if you said it before Chapter 3, I think I would have questioned it. But after Chapter 3, I think I would have not questioned it much. I would have, like, definitely understood that there's a lot... Or maybe... Yeah. Like, if you said it before Chapter 3, I would be very, very confused and probably be sus. But after Chapter 3, I'll be like, okay, yeah, so there's a lot more to her. Like, it would... But, because by Chapter 3, I was already suspecting that there's a lot more to her. It's funny because I think Ahmad had edited together a compilation of all the times he slandered Mio with his comments. He watched it on stream after completing Chapter 5 as part of his atonement. So, were the mods interested in him watching Higurashi? Like, the fact that they compiled all that beforehand? I just don't want to hint towards that more, so there's so many red herrings. Fair, fair.
そちらへ接近中1分未満で接触します
There was pitch blacking, yet they could see the two newcomers kill it clearly. You're probably using a night vision scope.
了解全隊員注意せよウグイス2から5はグリーンライトを待てウグイス7から8は前後 100m のクリアを確認せよ
待機ウグイス4、5聞こえたな
ウグイス4了解
Right now, I think I'd put Rena above Keiichi and Keiichi at 5. I think that's fair. I'm gonna be honest, I still don't see why Keiichi is the GOAT, you know? There's still one more chapter, but like, yeah, he has some good parts, but the GOAT? I don't know if I would say he's the GOAT.
ウグイス5了解
ウグイス7了解
ウグイス8了解
ウグイスより本部 ウグイスより本部。
Yeah, mods and watchers are forced to bite their tongue for 3 chapters.
電話設備工
Ah,
作中
okay.
にトラブル。私服警官2名の職質と思われる。発砲許可を申請。
本部了解。許可を待て。
By the time Oishi and Kumagai reach the phone facility, they're being watched from all directions. There were 2 pairs of binoculars and 2 sniper rifles pointing at them. Mountain Dog operatives worked in 2-man units, a sniper and a spotter, to secure the means of retreat. Shion and Rena is debatable for me. There's not that many gaps between characters. So why do you have Shion so high up there? They were all in camouflage suits, hiding deep in the woods. Oishi, of course, had no chance of spotting them. The snipers had their rifles trained on the detectives' heads. Oishi and Kumagai had no idea that they were on the verge of losing their very lives. That is so true. Like, after chapter 6, you really realize that Mion is the one that gets, you know, like slandered, as you said, the most in this series for literally doing nothing. Like, no matter what happens, Mion is always the one that people blame. Even Oishi does that. The snipers' rifles had their safeties on, but a flick of their thumb would release them. In other words, they were ready to shoot if given the order. The detectives found the fenced-in machinery right behind the parked van. There's a sign saying that it is property of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation. Another sign warning people to keep away.
どうもこんにちは。
すみません。作業中ですんで入らないでもらえますかね。
There are 4 men working there wearing blue overalls. They had a toolbox open and were working on some wires.
どうも仕事中お邪魔してすみません。警察の者でございます。いえね、不思議なところに不思議な時間に車が止まっていたもので、どうしちゃったのかなと思いまして。
そうですか。お仕事ご苦労様です。うちらももうちょっとで終わりますんで。
おたくらどちらさんです？電電の人じゃないでしょう。
ああ、失礼しました。
Because 5, as a standalone chapter, is so much emphasis on developing her character and truly understanding her in most aspects. Like watching a tragedy, we can guess what happened next, but we're seeing how it ended up that way. That's fair. That's fair.
おこのぎ電気設備工事と申します。あれすみません。名刺を切らしちゃってるみたいです。
Okonogi Electrics. Wow. They really, it's like, they really plan to, how do you say? They really plan out like every single thing. It's like, oh, this is gonna be undercover, and we're gonna have this van, and we're gonna have these companies, and we're like, everything is so planned. But then when it comes down to the name, it's like Okonogi blank. What is it? Okonogi Gardeners. Okonogi Electrics. What's next? Okonogi like pharmaceuticals? Or like giving the medicine to or like delivering the medicine from HQ to here?
おこのぎ電気設備工事さんって会社どちらです？
はい。沖宮になりますけど。
会社の電話番号と住所を教えてください。
なんでそんなこと聞きますか？
電話番号忘れちゃいました？
Oishi looked at them with a piercing gaze. Their response was very suspicious. Usually the vehicle of an electric company is full of various types of electrical equipment and their repair tools. However, the van parked, they had nothing inside and looked just like an ordinary car. Also, a company vehicle usually has the name of the company painted on it. But this one was just a plain van with no markings on it. None of that was the reason Oishi found them suspicious, though. It was their attitude that bothered him. They didn't sound nor look like typical contractors. They were obviously not electricians. It was far too late in the day, and there were far too many of them. They were also clearly suspicious of Oishi. However, that was all he could tell by just looking around. He found them suspicious, but had no idea what they were up to. One of the men told Oishi the phone number. Kumagai wrote down the number so we can ask the station to call and confirm if it was real.
私らそんな怪しいもんじゃありませんって。
Five was Shion and Satsuko, but like 95% of it was... Yeah, no. It was mainly Shion. Like, Satsuko... It was actually more Shion and Satoshi. Not really Shion and Satoko. But like, you know, Satoshi's not here, ever. So, yeah, I don't know.
あんたら怪しすぎですって。一体何者です？
I think it's weird having Keiichi as a supporting character. Well, when you look at it from this perspective, it's like everyone is the supporting character in Rika's world. That's kind of how it looks like, you know, when you look at it from her eyes. And you know, you can argue about that for anyone, but I think Rika the most. It feels like everyone else is a supporting character, and Rika is the really main character of the series.
委託業者なら作業写真用に作業前作業後とか書かれた黒板とかあったりするでしょう。そういうのもないですし、だいたいあんたたちの雰囲気が違いすぎます。
おまわりさん、そんな意地悪言われちゃかなわないです。勘弁してください。私ら早く作業を終えて帰らなきゃならないんです。
Judging from their progress, it didn't look like they'd been cleaning up anytime soon. In fact, it almost seemed like they were just getting started.
もう化けの皮は剥がれてんだよ兄ちゃん。電気屋に化けるときはまずバイトして勉強してからにしな。
Oishi raised his voice threateningly. The members of the mountain dogs gradually started to look more and more annoyed. Oishi looked over their expressions and gave them a big wide grin. However, Oishi had no idea. He thought he could handle these suspicious people with no issues. Of course, in reality, they were horrific demons that he had no chance against. Meanwhile, Kumagai was heading back to the car. He was intending to contact the police department. He was going to call the station using the radio. Then in turn, the police department would contact the NTT. That way it would become clear who they were really dealing with.
本部よりウグイス1発砲許可。
Yep, okay. So, the one where I said Oishi and Kumagai died before, unless someone like comes in out of nowhere and
ウ
saves
グイス
them.
7クリア。
ウグイス8クリア。
The sniper was still aiming at Kumagai's head as he headed back towards their car. The safety, that last line protecting, unless, wait a second, unless Hanyu, after all this time being a spectator, decides to put her foot down and say no, and actually steps in for once and saves their lives. Question mark? Sniper put his finger on the trigger. He was wearing a glove with the fingertips cut out. The finger poking through the hole was very rough and merciless. It's very weird to say because there are like 4 protagonists at certain points. I definitely think so as well, but I feel like knowing that Rika is the only one that views the various lives, she's the one that has to be the protagonist. Like, you know, no one else can. Like, others, like, sometimes get fragments, but Rika remembers it very clearly. And, you know, and Hanyu is also the only one that could talk to her, who is apparently Oyashiro-sama. Who is, yeah. Maybe I just haven't seen many stories, but I've seen many stories where the true main characters reveal far into the series, whereas the protagonist, where you started the series with, was the support all along. Oh, you haven't seen many. I don't think I've seen many either. Like, I don't really... any. Where it kind of reveals... they usually reveal the main character early on. Like, sometimes they bait and switch. Yeah, sometimes they bait and switch main characters early on, but not this late on.
ウグイス1より狙撃班オールグリーン。
Kumagai heard a quiet noise. It was similar to the sound of a jump rope that he used to whip when he was a little. That was the laptop Kumagai had in this world. Kumagai collapsed onto the gravel. That was it. Didn't even twitch. Oishi was laying on his back on the concrete after getting shot in the chest. His lungs were filled with blood, which began to pour out of his mouth. Oishi only realized that he'd been shot when the world began to blur before his eyes. As his world keeled over, he saw a man in a work uniform leveling the gun at him. But it didn't matter anymore as he started drowning on his own blood. And so they never made it.
TS より大石社どうぞ。先ほどのナンバーが判明しました。大石社どうぞ。大石社、応答願います。電波悪いのかな。大石社、応答願い。
出ませんね。
大石さんが車両紹介？誰の車だよ。
村人の車ですね。至って平凡な。
何者だよ。大石さんが聞いてくるからにはただものじゃないんだろ。
突起事項欄は完全に空欄ですね。S 号指定もなし、減点もなしだし。
Is it? What is this guy's name? Asai's van?
バッシングでもされて腹が立ったんじゃないの？あの人根に持つとなかなか忘れないタイプなんだよ。
ウグイスより本部2名を射殺。
It makes revisiting the series funny to me to know the quiet blue-haired little girl standing in the corner at the classroom has experienced these worlds for years. Yeah, it is, yeah. So, I don't know if this is spoiler right now. You can say if you don't want to say it yet. You know, if you don't wish to. But the worlds that we experienced, do we know if it's one, like, the most recent 8 worlds that Rika visited? Or is it just, like, 8 randomly chosen, or, like, I guess not 8, but 7 randomly chosen worlds? Like, this one obviously is the most recent one, but what about the other 6? I guess, and we know that Rena is like the one right before this, because that's what Rika would just said. But the from then on, like that previously, is it randomly chosen worlds, or is it the most recent 8 or 7, 6, 5? I don't know how many worlds.
作業を再開。
本部了解。警官の車両処理は慎重に行われたし、サンサ、ウグイスは警官2名を排除、作業を再開。
おやすみなさい。
Yo, she's in a uniform. We can do well. I can imagine it's a progression, right? But is it still like in a row? Like, is it you know, like if I were to get this up, right? Like, let's say these are all like 100 years or whatever, right? Is it like they choose something from here, they choose something from here, they choose something from here, and then they choose, like, you know, or is it like they choose like this one, and then this one happened like right next to it, and then this one happened right next to it, and then this one happened right next to it? You know, like how does it work? If it like, you know, yeah. I was playing the fragrance, okay.
私の尻尾をつかめてもう一息だと思ったでしょうに。コーヒーをもらえるかしら。
どうぞ。しかし厄介な展開になってきましたね。R 宅には依然私服警官数名と、それから友人数名がいるそうです。 R は自分が今夜殺されることに感づいているとしか思えません。作戦が漏れています。やはり決行は延期すべきでは。
明日の朝には死体が見つかっていないといけないのよ。お偉いさんたちの日程上、その日が一番都合がいいって話なんだから。作戦は決行します。
The crucial part of this final mission was the death of Rika and what came after that. They couldn't just kill her whenever they wanted. Doing it at the right time was vital.
山犬による過剰な警備にかえって過敏に反応したのでしょうか。
違うわね。漏洩じゃない。予言よ、あれは。富武の死と、そして私ですら知り得なかった偽装死体の状態まで知っていた。あの子は女王なのよ。南沢の頂上存在の頂点に立つ女王で、巫女で降臨したるお社様の血脈に連なる正当な末裔。神を欺くことなどできない。フルでリカをあっさり暗殺などできるわけがなかった。いいわよ、リカちゃん。あなたと私、どちらがお社様の伝説を受け継ぐにふさわしいか勝負しようじゃない。あなたの死はお社様のたたりの最後を飾り、この村の伝説のフィナーレを飾る。私の作り上げた物語はその時こそ本当のたたりになるの。
I think at most they're all random. Rika did mention to Keiichi earlier that she's experienced 2 times where Keiichi didn't move to Hinamizawa. Okay, yeah. It was now past 8 p.m. Mion ordered some noodles for us, her treat. She also ordered some foods for the 4 officers, and we all ate together. We were supposed to call it a night as soon as we talked to Oishi, but he's still not here. However, we all took it easy, assuming they'd get here sooner or later. It's getting late. Once you get to Hinamizawa, there aren't many places to get something to eat. They're having a quick dinner before coming here. However, the 4 officers seem anxious. They all had families, but Oishi didn't tell them how late they'd have to be out here. They're hoping that Oishi will bring other officers to relieve them so they can go home. They called the station, but all they said was Oishi was on his way. We should wait because he'll be here soon.
遅いね、大石さん。 渋滞にでも巻き込まれたんだよ。ちょうど帰宅ラッシュの時間帯にぶつかっただろうからね。
I'm not sure on the details of how the... Okay.
おまわりさんもお昼からずっといてくれてるんですのよね。交代が来てあげないとかわいそうですわね。
そうだな。何時に終わるのかもわからない仕事って疲れるもんな。
警察の人には休んでもらって、私たちが夜景にでも立ちます？聡子のトラップワークで不審者の接近を阻むとか。
甘いですわね、シオンさん。ここは私とリカの家なんでしたよ。常に二重三重のトラップが張り巡らせてあり
That
ま
is
すわ。
true, Diana. That's funny. The power scaling, how do you say, knowledge coming into play.
そうなんだ。神社で遊ぶときは注意しないとね。
Our stomachs full, the mood in the house had returned to a lighthearted one. Sure, we shouldn't be so relaxed, but knowing that Oishi would be here shortly made us feel relieved. He's so late. That he'd be here in an hour. Neon mentioned that he might have gotten stuck in traffic, but I'm sure Oishi was considering that. That's why he told me it'd take him about an hour. And now it had been 1 hour since the time Oishi was supposed to get here. I want to believe that he's getting something to eat on the way, but I'm starting to get concerned. Oishi still hasn't shown up. It's almost 11 o'clock. The officers are completely exhausted. They had even started to smoke cigarettes outside. My friends are becoming tired too. Satsuko is yawning. It's way past our bedtime. Everyone is getting tired and sleepy. We've been spending our time watching TV and reading manga. I can feel my fear succumbing to sleepiness. The day's almost over. I'm gonna survive the day I'm supposed to die. That mean I escape my deadly fate? No. I'll have to fight endlessly from tomorrow on. I was gonna discuss that with Oishi. Since he's not here, I don't know what to do from this point on. Suddenly the phone rang, breaking the silence.
大石さんか。
もしもし、フルデなのです。
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。沖宮署の小宮山と申します。すみません。うちの大石ですが、そちらにおりますか？
いいえ、僕たちもずっと待っているところなのです。
そうですか。わかりました。申し訳ございませんが、そちらに行っている警官に今から応援が行くので、引き継いだら祈祷するようお伝えいただけますか？
わかりましたです。それで、大石はどこに？
夕方頃直接そっちへ行くと連絡があったきりだったので、てっきりそちらへお邪魔してるものと思っていました。大石と交代で警官たちが戻ってくることになってたのですが、いつまでも戻らないのでどうなっているのかと思いまして。
That's what I'd like to know, but arguing with the man on the phone wouldn't accomplish anything. I hung up and gave the message to the officers downstairs. Looked like everyone had already heard our exchange on the phone.
どうしたんでございましょうね。
Sounds good, Ruben.
遅いにも程がありましたよ。
何か重要な仕事があったりして道草でも食ってるとか？
それなら電話すると思うな。これから行くって電話したんだよ。これだけ遅くなったら絶対に電話してくれると思うな。
まさか東京って連中に襲われたとか。
Okay, Keiichi, calling it out.
まさかと言いたいところですが、リカちゃまの言うような連中が相手なら絶対そんなわけないとも言い切れないのが怖いところです。多分急用が入ったんだよ。それで電話をするのを忘れてるんだと思う。向こうも大の大人、それも天下の大石だよ。そうそう簡単には消されないって。
来るなら早く来てほしいですわね。
Looks like I have 43 VODs to start. Just hope I don't come back drunk on wine. Good luck, Ruben. I believe in you. You can make it out of this. Satsuko yawned. Everyone laughs, but some of them are trying not to yawn themselves. Can't stay up forever. We decided that we call it a night once the replacement officers arrived. I'm sure I've survived past the time I was supposed to die. That's probably because the police were protecting me. Perhaps both Takano and the mountain dogs are also on my side and they took care of the murderer. I don't know who's changing my fate. Maybe my fate hasn't changed and I'm gonna get killed soon anyway. I don't know if it's because of the police or because of the mountain dogs, but the only thing I know for sure is that I'm still alive. I'm gonna find a fragment where Tuno is a pure human species. And how do you intend to do that? Then I heard the noise of someone walking on the gravel on the shrine grounds. One of my friends suggested that it might be Oishi, but I doubt it. I want to expect him and be disappointed when it's not. Starting to think like Hanyu.
こんばんは。沖宮署から参りました。
Most fragments? You're a cat boy. I would know. So, what am I in this fragment then?
小宮山と申します。
Was an Oishi. Two of his fellow detectives had arrived instead. They were going to stay downstairs and have the 4 officers return home. They also told my friends to leave.
あとは私たち警察がいますので、どうぞ皆さんは家に帰ってください。ご家族の方が心配しますよ。
みんなありがとうです。刑事さんたちが来てくれましたし。
I wonder.
もう大丈夫な
I'm
のです。
also wondering.
本当に大丈夫？邪魔でなければ私た
Because
ちも
I'm
泊まるよ。
definitely not a cat boy right now. I can tell you that for a fact. So you know what? I would say I'm a pure human species in this one. No?
大丈夫なのです。第一、お布団も寝巻きもないのです。じゃあ明日、これからはなるべくリカちゃんと一緒にいるようにしよう。部活はリカちゃんの家でやるっていうのでどうかな。あら、それなら素敵でございますわよ。僕たちの家の床が抜けてしまうかもしれませんです。
違いねえな。
じゃあリカちゃま、私たちこれで帰りますけど、用心してください。暗闇で一人になるなんてことは絶対しないように。
気をつけますです。じゃあね、また明日。はいです。また明日。
See you tomorrow. Really gonna see them tomorrow? I have no clue. Tried so many things over the past 100 years. Done many things and have memory of most of them. That's why I feel so scared on the day I die. The day I have no memory of. I don't even know if I'm approaching or escaping my death right now. All I know is that this fear is going to continue until I find some kind of... As I started getting ready to bed, Satsuko suggested that I sleep in my regular clothes rather than in my pajamas. She was thinking that I should remain dressed in case someone tried to attack me in my... It sounded ridiculous, but she was just trying to be considerate. I decided to do what she told me to. Satsuko seemed so sleepy until a few minutes ago, but she suddenly started passionately explaining to me all the traps she set on the shrine grounds. She assured me that strangers will end up trapped if they try to sneak inside the building. To someone else, it might sound like she was trying to brag, but Satsuko was just trying to do better. After everyone left, she noticed how scared I looked. Satsuko's kindness and everyone else's kindness. I feel like it was the right decision for me to talk to my friend. Even if that won't end up changing my fate.
Rika.
Hanyu showed up again. Looked upset, so she was probably thinking I could still get killed at any minute. But I'm actually starting to feel a little better. I might get killed tomorrow, but if I can rest safely at least tonight, I'm more concerned about the fact that Oishi didn't show up. Still, even if he didn't, the other detectives are here. We'll stay on guard downstairs without sleeping. As long as they're here, I think I'll be safe tonight.
どうしたの？お腹でも空いたの？出前じゃ甘いのはないからね。冷蔵庫のジュースでも飲む？
Hanyu would usually cheer right up when I suggested drinking some juice. Not this time. Her face looked pale, as if she wasn't even alive. The out of the ordinary had clearly happened.
どうしたの？もうすぐ時間がやってきますのです。
Hello, hamburger. Higurashi when they poop. Maybe you're onto something there, hamburger. What if, like, they just never pooped, and then none of this would ever happen? I chucked a screenshot in the Clips Discord. Let me see. That's so funny. That's crazy. He got a green wig. He even has the... Oh, that's so funny. He got everything. It is hamburger, yeah. That sounded far more like a declaration than a prediction. Even Hanyu doesn't have any memories of my death. There's no way she can tell when I will be killed. However, she sounded so certain just now. Perhaps we can feel it in the very cells of our body. Our bodies understand fate far better than we do. Up until now, I felt reassured that we can get through somehow if we're all together. But as I clung to that life preserver with the whole leaking air, starting to drown in a sea of despair and struggling to keep my head above water. What'd you do today, hamburger? I let myself feel that way. I have to believe.
大丈夫よ。羽生、私は抗う。たとえ明日殺されるとしても、今夜殺されるという運命にだけは抗う。
And you just gave me a look of faint sadness. That silence told me that my pitiful hope was going to push me down into a futile reality. I stared at Satoko as she continued to brag about her traps. If I'm getting killed shortly, Satoko won't be safe either. I quickly interrupted her to talk about the traps. I lifted and ran and got jewelry. Seems like a good day. What jewelry did you get? Time was 1 in the morning. As it's hardly a big city, 1 a.m. in Hinamizo, middle of the night. The darkness here gets very deep. There was a light leaking out from the first floor where 2 detectives sat on guard, but everything else was pitch black. Even the moonlight seemed indistinct.
予定時刻です。1階には刑事2名、2階は消灯してすでに1時間以上が経過します。本部より3査。
こんなに月の綺麗な夜だもの。始めなさい。
刑事は排除でよろしいですか？
そうね。今夜古出神社にいた人間は全てが忽然と姿を消し、それでいいわ。
本部より大鳥、作戦開始。保証の刑事2名は実力で排除せよ。なお発砲は許可しない。繰り返す、発砲は許可しない。本部よりウグイス、大鳥が作戦を開始する。電話線を遮断せよ。
ウグイス了解。
But they don't have phone lines, they use radio.
遮断する。
Right? A 14-karat gold ring and a medallion chain. Nice! Congrats, congrats. Hope you like it. Me when I rob a bank. You know, the way, like, it was... I didn't say this initially, right? But the way Hamburger explained it, I thought you were making a joke that you robbed a bank. But no, you literally did those things today. So that's why I didn't comment it initially. But I really... Yeah, that you just robbed something. Yeah. They have been working to disable the phone lines just in case their target tried to contact the police during the attack. It was a ceremony, assholes. Listen. Okay? I didn't say anything until Diana said anything, okay? I was saying it was cool. Lifting and running was beforehand. I see it. Yeah, I understand that. Hello, Indie Man. What am I looking out for this time? My mission was what Oishi happened to bump into.
ほんじゃ始めるかいね。大鳥湾より全隊員へ突入準備。1階の刑事2名と2階の同伴者1名を排除せよ。
I'm tired. I didn't even think of that. Well, I mean, you know what? Isn't it cool to rob a bank though, Hamburger? Like, you pulled off something really cool. Like, you shouldn't be offended for that if that was the case. You shift the blame on me too. No thanks. Yes, I will, because I was not going to say anything until you did. So you lowered my guard, and then that's why I said it. Okay, so really, it's your fault. It's not mine. Like, it never is my fault, ever. Like, why would it ever be my fault?
痕跡を残せん。
But it's not that big of a deal, Hamburger, also. Like, you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to worry about it. It's just funny.
発砲禁止。ガスも使えんね。テーサーを使え。
It's fine if it's my fault. I'll take the blame. Yes, I'm glad you understand that, Diana.
単銃で武装してるぞ。撃たせるな。
If I robbed a bank, I wouldn't have said I robbed a bank in a Twitch chat. Listen, many people are stupid out there. I'm not saying you are, okay? I'm not saying you are. Let's get that clear. I'm not saying you are, but there are many stupid people that do exist and have done something similar to that. Dude. What? I'm just saying in general. You're under arrest. I'm the FBI. Well, Hamburger, there you go. You have the person who robbed the bank right there. You're a magician of words yourself. I know. I'm so eloquent when I speak. You think I would have said it, so therefore with your logic, you'd say I'm stupid. No, but you didn't say it. Meaning you're not. Do FBI personnel carry an AK-47 around with them?
まあ仕事ですんで大鳥7、8前進
No, why can't it be 6 and 7?
バックアップは周
Yet
辺
you
警戒を
assumed
厳
I
重
was
にされたし
referring to a bank robbery. Well, listen, when you put it in a row, it's like you did it in sequence of order. Like, right? A sequence of where you said you lifted and running, and then you got jewelry, right? So when you put it in a sequence list like that, it's like you did each of those things in a row. What would I lift? You would lift the bag of jewelry over your back and then run out of the like bank or jewelry store or whatever, and then you would get the jewelry afterwards. Yeah, exactly. Lifted the case of jewelry itself.
大鳥7了解前進する
Roll for thieving success. Well, that's a hamburger. The two men in uniform slowly approach the building. Mountain Dog's uniform is gray, so it didn't blend in well with their surroundings at all. However, it doesn't look as suspicious as real camouflage suits. Of course, they look suspicious enough creeping up to the house like that anyway. They could both see light leaking from the door and hear the voices of the detectives. Nico would typically use a sliding door to get inside. The door is locked, but the Mountain Dogs had obtained a spare key a long time ago. They put the key in the keyhole, but it wouldn't go in smoothly. They're certain it would make some kind of noise when they turned it. The detectives would notice them the minute they did that. They'd have to rush inside and defeat them in one swift burst. What? Okay. You trip and die with gangrene instantly. How did she suddenly get gangrene?
大鳥7より本部準備位置に到着突入指示を請う
高野です。綺麗に決めるのよ。行きなさい。
了解突入する
Clock, clock. He turned the key in a hurry and opened the lock. By the time the detectives turned over, the door was already open, and the two Mountain Dogs had stepped inside. They aimed their weapons at the detectives while the latter was still turning around. In a fight like that, the first 2 seconds are the most crucial moments. The detectives collapsed, making minimal noise. There were needles stuck in their bodies, and those needles were connected via the wires to the attackers' guns. In other words, the weapons those two had weren't ordinary guns. They were stun guns in the shape of firearms. Instead of bullets, they shoot out electric needles that electrocute their victims into unconsciousness. Why would you run if you lifted the case? You ran, you'd sell your cover. Instead, you'd either smash the cases and run them, or take them from the case and walk out inconspicuously. Well, no! You want to get as much as possible, so you don't take the entire case. So you take the jewelry and stuff it into your jewelry bag, and you go along and stuff whatever you can. Like, if it's a bank, you just go steal, like, whatever cash you can, put it into your bag. If it's jewelry, you just want to steal as much jewelry as you can and put it into your bag. You did when you said you lifted it. Normally, there would be non-lethal weapons that allow the shooter to capture their victims without harming them much. Their tasers have been modified. No, you assumed I had a bag. So what, you're gonna go steal, like, rob a store without a bag? 50 points, whoever says what Lotus Feet is intense. I have no clue what Lotus Feet is. So I'm not getting that 50 points. The two dogs started walking up the stairs as soon as they confirmed the detectives were no longer breathing. They heard a loud noise above them.
こちら大鳥10 R 以下2名が感づいた2階の窓から飛び降りたぞ裏の茂みへ逃走している大鳥4、5そっちへ行くぞ制圧しろ大鳥4沈黙
Look it up off camera. Oh, wait, wait, I think I actually know what you're talking about. Lotus Feet. Yeah, I do know this. Yeah, it's where you curl the feet. Oh, yeah, no, this is... I know what that is. It's so bad. So bad. Who said I even robbed it? We're just talking about a hypothetical situation. Where you said you lifted and then ran and then got jewelry. And in that case, it makes the most sense for you to rob as much as you want, lift the bag over your shoulder, run, and then have the jewelry. Based on what you said, yeah, this is all based off of interpretation of your statement. You're the one who assumed I was a criminal. You're the one who worded it like you were a criminal. Like, basically, you're the person who's innocent when the police brings you in for questioning and says, I wasn't there, so I don't know anything about the murder. When you, like, even though you weren't there at the crime itself, you saw someone carrying a body bag. Pow, pow. deep sounding explosion. The area was filled with smoke. That was the trap Satoko had set using firecrackers. That had proven to be a very fortunate idea. The mounted dogs dropped to the ground, assuming they were under fire. Phoenix right over here. Listen. We're just trying to make sense of a situation. I give Rika and Satoko a chance to escape.
なんなんですのあいつらは。リカの言う東京なんですの。多分ね。いいから走って。捕まったら殺されるわよ。
どうした応答しろ。今の音は何だ。
こちら大鳥5。銃撃を受けた模様。R は突破した。追撃する。
くそ。感触玉か何かだ。
You think that sequence? You worded it as if back to back.
畜生め。
That's why I assumed it was back. Like, if I, like, for example, for me, if somebody asks me what I do in a day, I usually do it in that order.
さとこちゃんね。やるわね。
What kind of jewelry store has enough to fill a bag? Have you seen those jewelry stores in China? They're huge.
Huh?
Be so for real? I've been to jewelry stores where it's literally multiple floors of jewelry.
情けな。近場の班は急行しろ。
Why am I in
人家に逃げ
China?
込まれたらア
Why
ウトだぞ。
aren't you is the better question.
大鳥18発見した。追跡中。応援を送
Okay,
れ。
Tuno, that was a fumble. Huge jewelry store. I just searched it up. You're telling me this couldn't fit a bag? You're telling me all of this couldn't fit in a bag? You're telling me this couldn't fit in a bag? Why'd you bring up Lotus Feet as well?
二人は土地勘が強いわよ。早く抑えないと確実に見失うわ。
It's not reasonable to assume that hamburger is... It's not reasonable for you, but it's reasonable for me. I've never talked with Hamburger before in a call. Yeah, but you're assuming that I know the exact same information as you do when it comes to Hamburger. This wasn't a game of hide and seek. Several men in uniform were chasing after Rika and Satoko. They weren't idiots, so they didn't waste energy on a futile act of shouting. Wait. A deadly game of tag in the middle of the night.
どこへ行きますの？バラバラになって追っ手を振り切りましょうです。落ち合うのはミーの家。
Yes. Why, like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have enough of something, it's heavy. And you don't have to, just because you're lifting something doesn't mean it needs to be heavy. I can, what am I doing? I'm lifting a glass or a cup of water right now. Or I don't even know what this is. A bottle? Yeah, I'm lifting a bottle of water right now. I'm lifting it.
地下の隠し部屋なら安全だし、外部と連絡も取れますです。
I never even specified what I did get in terms of jewelry, so why'd you think it was a large sum? Well, by proxy of the word you use in lift, right? I would assume that you got a bunch of jewelry. Alright? Like, it is more than one. Okay? You wouldn't say you got jewelry, right? Or like, you didn't say you, like, by the order of the words, you said got jewelry after you said you lifted. Meaning that you got the jewelry after you lifted. Meaning the amount of jewelry that you got had to have been substantial. Satsuko had no idea that Mion had a basement in her house. She didn't have time to ask anything about it under her current circumstances. All she did was nod. Bang! The next moment I felt my left foot catch on something and I fell down to the ground. Must have tripped on a rock or concrete.
リカ！サトコは逃げた！
But Satsuko would move on without me. She came back to lend me a hand. I stood up without her help, but this cost us too much time. One of the men has almost caught up with us. I didn't know what to do, but Satsuko, upon seeing him, quickly reacted. You don't think I would? You don't need to show that sack. There are many bags that fold up very small. And then by the time you, let's say, for example, right, you had a gun, right? And you just, like, threatened people, you would be able to unfurl that bag immediately. Well, we don't know that. It could also be from a bank. That's what we said from the beginning. It could be a bank or a jewelry store. Satsuko ran towards him and kicked with all her might. Her foot had landed right in his face. He had a camera. There are two more of them just right behind the first man. I can see them clearly now. They're the gardeners from that landscape company. They're wearing the same uniforms Okunogi is always wearing. They must be the mountain dogs. Okay, gotta tell what happened at work yesterday. Yeah, we gotta hear this, Indie Man. Now I'm certain Takano's the culprit, and now I know that I can do something about it in the next world. But if I die now, will I lose my memory again? I can't die now. I need to survive so I can keep my memories. Satsuko took something out of her pocket and threw it at them. It was something like sand and it blinded them. A tooth was left on the counter. And who said it was a bank? Do you know, Hamburger, the term circumstantial evidence? Just because something's not explicitly stated doesn't mean you can't be deemed guilty of a crime. Just because nobody saw, like, on video camera, someone run into a store or anything like that explicitly, doesn't mean the circumstantial evidence, will not deem you guilty. It was something like sand, and it blinded them. However, that could still buy us time. Or seconds. Satsuko tried to run, but she froze as soon as they aimed their weapons at us. Their stun guns are only shaped like firearms. Someone left living aquatic leash-like creatures in the men's toilet. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that. What does someone accomplish by doing that? Satsuko, not knowing that, thought they were real guns. Knowing that she would be shot if she turned around, Satsuko tried to attack them instead. I said it is... No, but we're not saying this... You didn't say there was a ceremony beforehand. You said the ceremony after... I asked what, like, we can scroll up and actually see. This is actual evidence we can go up. We can scroll all the way up. I asked what you did today, and then you replied. You lifted and ran and got jewelry. A 14-karat gold ring and a medallion chain. And then after, you said, it was a ceremony. So that initial statement does not apply to you robbing a bank. I don't know at all. What are we talking about? I don't even know anymore, but it's fun. Basically, Hamburger, what we're saying is you robbed a bank and we caught you, okay? Like, you don't need to hide it. That's what we're saying. Taste shit. No, don't say that. Don't say that, Hamburger. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to do that. Of course, there are three of them. Most people would think it impossible to drive them off, but Satsuko didn't think about that. It was a ceremony at school for graduating junior year. Happy congrats then. Okay, work was crazy. A severed tooth and leeches. My life is cooked. But why was there a tooth? Like, did someone just, like, remove their tooth and leave it there? Or what exactly? Congrats on graduating, though. Or graduating junior year, Hamburger. I'm sorry I caused all this shit. Forgive me. No, you don't need to apologize. We're just being stupid, Hamburger. Okay, everyone here in the stream, except, like, you know, well, no, not everyone here. Indie Man and Ruben, you guys are fine. Us three, we're dumb. Okay? I'm probably the dumbest one, and we know that. Okay? Like, we know this already. She had a 100% chance of dying if she tried to run, and she might as well fight back because she might have a 1% chance of defeating them. I was just watching with popcorn there, exactly. It's content, Hamburger. Continue rage baiting him. It's great. Dark Ones, why are you here to instigate this even more? Why? I'm gonna go turn my fan on. I'm actually, like, winning from this conversation. I'm just gonna go. I'm sorry. Why are you leaving, Hamburger? Now, why are you depressed? Satoko's determined to save me, even at her own expense. But I can't stay in this world if it means losing Satoko. I'm dying anyway. I'd rather die for Satoko's sake than lose her. I mean, an AK is cool. You have enough to distribute, but another me was shouting in my mind. If I don't survive this, I'll lose this memory. If I die without keeping this memory, this life and everything I've learned will all be wasted. Escape and leave Satoko behind? That's right, I should use this experience to my advantage in my next life. I should just let go of her in this world.
無理ね。それができる魔女なんかになれるものか。
But I know in my heart, there's no way I can win against these guys. I'm sure their backup will get there if they take our time to fight them. Should I fight them for her, or should I leave so I can confront my true enemy? Okay, it seems like no matter what I didn't even click anything! It just chose for me! I didn't even, okay? I don't even know what I chose! Okay, well, whatever we get. I guess we're going back then? Satoko's bravery gives me courage. If I left her, I'd lose my motivation to defeat fate. That's the one I was probably gonna choose anyway, but... Okay. I don't care if I lose my memories. But it seems like the choice I would make doesn't matter. It only took 100 years for me to get this information. I don't care if I have to spend another 100 years in the same June. I can't leave Satoko.
Satoko! 二人で戦おう！リカ！逃げなさいって言いましたですのよ！
I had noticed something. They're only aiming at Satoko. There must be a reason why they can't shoot me. I stood in front of Satoko to protect her. Just as I expected, they put their guns down and prepared to take us without weapons.
あんたらは山犬ね。
Higurashi doesn't like you make it, despite giving you the yeah, no, that's how I felt. Because every other time they had choices, right? Because like this is a game not meant for choices. But every other time they had choices, I had the option, like, at the beginning of the game to be like, oh, I can make the choice and then get the bad ending. I can see the choices and then just see which ones are the correct options. Or I could just not see the choices and just go with the normal story, the way the game was intended to be, right? Be played. But I didn't get that in this chapter. And this is the second time I've had to make a choice. And it just, I'm pretty sure it just doesn't matter.
やっぱり黒幕は高野だったのね。私もバカね。あんたたちの正体を知りながら。でもね、私は逃げないの。ここであんたたちに殺されるのが運命なんてね、教えてくれた人がいるから。
Must think this is my final speech. Let me talk until
バ
it's
カな
finished.
奴らね。だから、あんたたちは金魚が救えないんだ。
The next moment, one of them dropped to the ground. Keiichi had run to— What?! How did Keiichi get here? Keiichi had kicked him right in the small of his back? And the dog was squirming on the ground. The other two tried to retaliate, but it was too late. Mion grabbed one of the guys from behind and flicked him down to the ground. Must be some kind of martial arts. Seen something like that in an action movie before. Rena tried to push the remaining dog down with all her strength, but that wasn't enough to take him out. He tried to aim his gun at Rena, but she had already done what she was supposed to do. All she needed to do was get his attention. Shion had stuck up behind him and she fired her stun gun into his neck. The stun gun made a snapping noise and the dog fell down to the ground with the rest of his friends.
カサイのやつ改造済みとは言ってたけど。
Oh yeah, Shion's stun gun. I forgot about that.
シオン、こっちの連中にもお願い。
大丈夫か？サトコにリカちゃん、まさに危機一髪だったな。
Oh wait, did Keiichi have a bat? No, he's not using his bat. That's his iconic gun, I think. It's just Shion, I think.
お前らの足が速いんで追いつくのに苦労したぜ。
ずっと待っててよかったね。張り込んでた甲斐があったよ。張り込んでたって、あの後お家へ帰らずずっと見張っていましたの、皆さんは。帰り際にね、すっごく不審な人がずっと草陰に潜んでて神社を伺ってるのを見つけたの。
Their friends, like, they would not go home. Like, I was thinking about it, like, if I was in their case, I really would have fought back that, like, no, you can't just have us go home. But like, it makes a lot of sense when they were just like lying in wait to like counterattack them when they appeared. That makes a lot more sense.
よく見つけたよな。あの暗
I
闇
was a
で。
bit confused, like why they would just so willingly go home like
レナ
that.
には嘘も明細も通用しないってことだな。
But figuring he would leave if they spoke to him, they secretly staked out that suspicious man. They started following us as soon as they heard the sound of the firecrackers.
まさかここでみんなに救われるとは思わなかったのです。
とにかくここにいたらすぐに応援が来るぞ。どうするこれから。
私たちミオンさんの家に逃げ込むつもりでしたのよ。地下でかくまってもらえるとかいう話で。
地下最後殿ですか？確かにあそこなら都合がいいです。しかもあそこ武器も隠してませんでしたっけ？そういうのは言わない。とにかく私もうちに逃げ込むのは
The
賛
first
成。
time the underground storage is going to be used in a positive
あ
light.
そこには秘密の通路がいくつもあるから連中の裏をかけるよ。
なら急ごう。追っ手が来てる。
A white van was approaching us at high speeds. It obviously belonged to the mountain dog. Fearlessness. The van stopped not far from us and more people in uniform jumped out. There were at least 6 of them. 6 or 7 of them? If we run, the slow runner might get caught. We should take them down while we can. I don't know if they have a license, but Mion and Shion know how to drive a car. We can take their van and get away from here.
6人だ。ちょうどいいね。全員の全力でぶちのめして車をいただこ
う。Listen! They made an average. There was about 6 of them. Well, they said there's 6 of them, but I said about, so we're going with that.
それは明暗ですわね。
そうと決まりゃそこだぜ。
The mountain dogs were ready to chase us. They had no idea that we would try to attack them instead. Vienna is always the first one to make a move in this kind of situation. She gets so determined once a decision is made. She immediately singled out one of the dogs and punched him in the nose. Another one tried to grab her from behind, but Keiichi kicked him in the side as hard as he could.
おいおいレナ、やり合うときは背中を気にしろよ。
ケイチ君に任せるよ。よろしくね。
レナさんの茨城時代ってめちゃくちゃ興味あります。というか人殴るのに躊躇なさすぎ。スタンガン使うのに躊躇ないあんたが言わない。
Given that Shion had the stun gun, the mountain dogs were reluctant to go after her. They were scared of the very dangerous weapon she had in her hand. But thanks to that, Shion had stopped one of them for certain. It was fortunate for us that they didn't have any guns of their own. They had no way of countering Shion's stun gun. Tatsuko attacked him from behind. She encircled his neck with a jump rope and pulled. Shion followed up, quickly hitting him with her stun gun. What was I doing during all that? The only thing I could do was run around and try to get their attention. They're pursuing me after all. They want to catch me more than anything else. That leaves them open to attacks, my friends. Grown adults afraid of... I mean, when the stun gun is so bad, literally just one zap of it causes them to faint, yeah, I think that's pretty bad. When it's literally illegally modified. Okay, Jet already hit the one trying to grab me. I think we have a chance here. We may not be able to take them all down, but we can try to find a chance to escape their vehicle.
リカちゃんから話を聞いていたとき、とんでもねえ奴らだとビビっていたが、どうやら俺たちと同等程度みたいじゃないか。
Keiichi, and you just jinxed it. And you just jinxed it, Keiichi.
みーちゃんの部活メンバーはつまりそのくらい強いってことなんだね。
恐れないというのが多分強さの秘密ですね。お姉の部活は遠慮ってやつをなくす訓練みたいなもんですから。
We all fight together. We can win this 6-on-6 battle. If any one of us weren't here, they'd beat us easily. We'd end up dead. My friends hadn't stayed behind. Wouldn't have been killed now. I would have been killed now. We can do it. We can make it. The dogs Shion took down with her stun gun were starting to wake up. The ones that we knocked down earlier were also up and chasing us again. We have to get out of here. This isn't time for me to be running around.
ちょうどいいわね。やってやるわ。
リカ、
羽生、あなたは相変わらず諦めてるんでしょ。 諦めない悪あがきがどれだけの力を持つか、そこで見てなさい。私は打ち破る。私たちは打ち破る。今からね、それをあなたの目の前で見せてあげる。よし、みんないいね。一撃で決めるよ。目の前の敵を一人撃ち倒せ。それから車を奪って逃げる。
はいです、僕もやりますですよ。
気に入ったぜリカちゃん。よっしゃ行くぞー。
On Keiichi's signal, we attacked the 6 of the mountain dogs in unison. Time gradually slowed down. I truly felt like I was going to overcome that impossible wall of time and change my fate. However, time continued to slow even further, until it stopped. What's going on? Like the film reel of a movie had just gotten hung up partway through. Like time itself had come to a standstill.
羽生、どういうこと？
その時が来たのです。
どうして？
Wearing a sad expression, Hani pointed at Keiichi. I finally noticed something. All my friends had noticed already, except for Keiichi.
ケイチ、その胸の前に浮いているのは何ですか？
何ってなんだよ。あ？これなんだよ。
Time had stopped, just when Keiichi was about to hit his opponent. He then realized that something was floating in front of his heart. It was metallic silver. Is it a bullet? But it's not a cone shape. That's the first thing I could think of.
嘘。ケイちゃん。
なんだよこれ。まさか銃弾？
That's exactly what it was. The bullet had stopped about 15 centimeters away from Keiichi's chest just before it would enter his body. That's right. Once time starts moving again, it will slam into his chest. In other words, it's too late. Keiichi will immediately die when time starts up again.
誰が撃ったの？だって相手は6人。誰も銃なんか持ってないよ。
Is it the sniper again?
あそこワゴン車のところですわ。
Tatsuko couldn't point at the van. Time had completely stopped after all. We could see another person standing near the van. There had actually been 7 people inside. Yeah! Well, bad, but... You know, funny meme. A 7th person, the one who fired the bullet. We hadn't seen her at all yet. That person is someone we all know very well. Yes, it's Takano.
高野さんだ。高野さんが撃ったの？ケイチ君は？
The frozen world, Takano was smiling, still aiming her gun at Keiichi. Takano had been watching us from the van this whole time. He came out and fired a gun, knowing that we hadn't seen her at all.
そっか。なるほどな。やっぱり黒幕は高野さんだったんだな。
どうしよう。ケイちゃん、なんとか体をひねってかわせないんですか？
I don't understand this time stop thing, unless Hanyu was the one that did it. Because I know last time, Hanyu, like, at least in the like anime thing that you sent, Hanyu was able to stop time, but...
バカ。無理なこと言うなよ。弾丸だって止まるくらいに、全てが止まってるんだぞ。俺だって動けるわけがねえだろ。
なら、時間が動き出すのと一緒に上半身を反らすんですの。そうすれば少しでも違うかもしれませんわよ。
Everyone was desperate to save Keiichi. However, no matter how hard we thought, we couldn't come up with any ideas to save him from the bullet. We were so desperate that Keiichi started to laugh.
なんかよくわからないけどさ、とにかくこうなっちまったものは仕方がない。時間が動き出せば俺は死ぬだろ。死ななくても、まあ少なくとも戦力にはならなくなるな。だからみんな今のうちに俺のことを諦めろ。そして目の前の敵と高野さんをぶちのめして車を奪うことを考えるんだ。
嫌です。ケイチが死んでもダメです。そんな世界は嫌なのです。羽生、これが運命だというの？避けられない運命だというの？大丈夫ですよ、リカ。忘れられます。忘れられますから。
嘘だよ、嘘だ。ケイちゃんがこのまま死んじゃうなんて。
やめなよ、みーちゃん。とにかく目の前の相手を倒すことに集中しよう。
倒れる圭一君に振り返る時間をきっと圭一君は望まない。
ああ、そうだぜレナ。頼むぞみんな。リカちゃんをまずはこの場を逃げ延びて監督に連絡を取れ。多分こいつらは大石さんをもう殺してる。だからあれだけ待っても来なかったんだ。みんな生き延びろよ。絶対だ。
圭一！
リカちゃん、最後の最後にごめんな。運命なんて覆せるって大見え切っておきながら最初にリタイアしちまう。
And it just like Takano's regular laughter. It was the scariest noise I've ever
根
heard.
性の名残は尽きた。
高野さん、これで俺たちが負けたと思うなよ。
見終わったのね、走馬灯。
Silence suddenly ended. The clamor of reality returned. An explosive sound then hit Keiichi straight into the chest. In the chest. I watched Keiichi collapse right in front of me. He fell down on his back while his blood splattered everywhere. And after that, he stopped moving. There's no way any of us weren't shocked by that. We tried to take down the foes in front of us. More came from behind. We had to struggle as best we could, but there's no way we could win against all those adults. I did my best to fight them off, but they pulled my hair and picked me up as if I weighed nothing. I heard everyone's desperate screams of resistance. Comforting and courageous unity we all showed right before Keiichi was shot. Shattered like glass. Debris of glass lay sadly on the... Takano's annoying laughter was still echoing inside my ears.
高野より本部へ制圧したわ。私の言ったものを準備させて。それから死体がたくさん出るから処分の
I
手
don't know
配
why,
を。
I feel they beat up a bunch of the guys, right? I don't know why after they beat them up, they all just didn't run. They charged back in. I don't get that. Because they said, like, they just needed to look for an opening, but then, like, they were talking about, oh, like, we're gonna go back and start fighting. I don't get that.
死体袋が5つと血を流すのに水がいるわね。持ってこさせて。
Thanks. My body froze up a ton. Takano laughing. They're gonna me up.
嘘でしょ。
あなたの背中の入れ墨、一度見てみたかったの。後で見せてもらうわね。
見たければ勝手に見ればいいでしょ。見たってつまらないよ。
そう？私は楽しいと思うわよ。
やめて！みーちゃんを撃たないで！
Her head in response to that scream.
ダメよ。ミヨンちゃんが部長さんなんだから一番じゃなきゃね。
嘘。やめ。
A dull noise followed by Mion's body twitch. They all tried to break free, training us. However, they were too strong. We're like it. Takano was enjoying watching us struggle, then stepped towards Satoko. And Shion started screaming curses at her.
あなたが先に撃たれたいのかしら。おとなしくしてればもう数秒は余計に生きられたのに。
やめてシオンさん。挑発なんかしても意味がありませんでしたよ。
Doing that, Shion wants to protect Satoko for as long as she can. Satoshi told her to do. Takano didn't on wit for feelings, stepping over Keiichi's body as she.
私、やっとわかりましたよ、サトシ君を。あんたが殺したんですね。そうなんでしょ。
あいにくね。メイドの土産って嫌いなの。だから教えてあげないわ。
Shion's body twitched. I had followed the dull sound of dull sounds, blowing away the lively lucky sister. Pin that up. Started shaking from fear when it hit me just how easily take away lives.
無抵抗の人を撃って楽しいの？この人でなし！
あら、次はあなたが撃たれたいの？黙ってれば最後の順番になったのに。
Keiichi, Mion, and Shion died. The oldest one of us left was Rena. Rena didn't want to see Satoko die before she...
連続開始事件は 全部高野さんの仕業だったんですね。お社様のたたりの代行者のつもりだったんですか？
代行者じゃないわ。私がたたりを下すのよ。あなたには見せられないわね。お社様の怒りがこれからこの村に下るのは。それは私が起こす私のたたり。そう、私はまさにお社様そのものになるのよ。その時私は人としての域をようやく超えることができるの。まあ、あなたには私の気持ちはわからないでしょうね。人を超えて神になろうとする心地よさなど誰にも理解できないわよ。
無理だと思うな。高野さんがどれだけお社様のふりをしたってお社様にはなれないよ。所詮はごっこ遊び。お社様になんかあなたはなれない。
なれるわよ。これからなるもの。
Then I laughed at her. Takano seemed very upset to hear that laugh.
何がおかしいのかしら。
無理だよ。だって
Oh,
お
wait.
社様はいるんだもの。
Oh? Okay, Urena. Those were Urena's last words.
さて、最後は聡子ちゃんね。あなたは殺しても殺さなくても。でも、あなたは生きた研究資料だからね。東京はあなたの生きたままの捕獲に懸賞金をつけてくれてるわ。大した額じゃない。私の取り分はせいぜいヨーロッパに旅行に行ったら消える程度よ。まあ生け捕りにしてもあなたは結局はろくな目に遭わないけどね。生きたまま頭蓋を切開されるのが関の山よ。それに私あなたとはお友達だったしね。この場で撃ち殺してあげるのも優しさかと思ってる。どっちがいい？
そんなの決められるわけないでございますわよ。
Tatsuko shouted back at her. Her eyes are full of tears.
じゃあクイズ。ブロッコリーとカリフラワー、緑色はどっち？
いえ、ブロッコリー。
Wow. As I heard that same dull sound, Tatsuko stopped moving. Takano smiled and said, "Good girl. Used to be Tatsuko."
本当に今夜は月の綺麗な素敵な夜だことね。あなたもそう思わない？
そして
Her last word was broke.
私を殺すのね。
It would be so funny if it wasn't so tragic.
ええ、殺すわ。女王感染者の死体が作戦の鍵なの。あなたはここから遠く離れた東京の地での醜い政治的勢力争いの具になるのよ。そして鬼ヶ淵村の伝説のピリオドとなる。
私をどういう殺し方にするか高野の考え。
あら、わかるの？言ってみて。
I'm not gonna say it, but I know. It's Watanagashi. He wants to do the real Watanagashi using my body. I'm sure she's planning to cut open my stomach and pull out my guts. Do that, she'll make me inhale some chemical to put me to sleep. I vaguely remember that part.
想像がついてるようね。じゃあおやすみなさい、リカちゃん。
One of the dogs approached me with a handkerchief soaked in a chemical substance.
高野、待ちなさい。
みんな潔く死んだのにあなたは命乞いなの？
違うわ。私を殺すなら眠らさずに殺しなさい。
Takano hadn't expected to hear that. Still, even though she was surprised, she nodded with a slight smile. Anya was also surprised to hear that. It would obviously be a terrible way to die.
どういうつもり？楽に死ぬ気がないの？辛いわよ。生きたまま腹を裂かれるのは。
忘れないためよ。
Yeah, doing this I'll remember. I'm not gonna forget
あ
about
なた
it.
が私の腹を裂くの。私は魂に刻みつける。それを私は絶対に忘れない。あなたに再び会った時、あなたが敵であることを思い出すために。
何を企んでるやら。でもあなたは他の子たちよりは少しは賢明みたいね。1秒でも長生きすれば悲鳴を上げるくらいのチャンスはあるかもしれないからね。でもそうはさせないわ。
They forced something other than the handkerchief inside of my mouth. There's a gag. That and I can close my mouth, leading to my saliva to start overflowing. Soon another van arrived. More mountain dogs came out of it. They had probably come to get rid of the bodies. We grabbed the corpses of my friends and stuffed them into body bags. After that, they sprayed a bunch of water on the ground to clean up the blood. I asked Takano how many shots she fired and started looking around for the bullets. We were erasing all of the evidence. By the time the night was over, there'd be no more proof left. They pulled my hands behind my back and bound them with handcuffs. My ankles were tied up too. They also tied my ankles and wrists together. The body bent like a shrimp and I was no longer able to walk. My mouth was covered so I couldn't even talk. I couldn't move, walk, or express myself in any other way. They'd taken away everything that made me human. Therefore, I wasn't human anymore. I was just a toy named Rika Furude. Toy to give Takano joy. The car started moving. It seemed like we were gonna go back the way we came, but I didn't care anymore. The time of my death approached, some of my forgotten memories came back to me. That's right. I was killed like this so many times. Every time I repeated my life, Takano got pleasure out of killing me. Somebody rubbed my head. Were they trying to comfort me? I shook my head to try and refuse. They laughed at me as I did so.
Rika!
Anya showed up. She couldn't hold back her devastated tears. Alright, hon. Because she will remember. And she won't give up in her next life. When I saw Hanyu's painful tears, I was convinced. I was wrong. Hanyu is not just a bystander. She's just too scared to face reality because she can't stand the pain anymore. Hanyu wants a happy future too. But her hopes were betrayed countless times. She was hurt far too much. For some reason, seeing her sorrowful expression calmed me down. Perhaps Hanyu was crying in my place.
いいのよ、羽生、私たち。あれだけ努力した。精一杯頑張った。もう一息で運命を覆せそうな予感すらした。それでも届かなかったなら、それにね、なんだか気持ちいいの。
I've never fought this hard in my life. I've never learned so many things. Because I can repeat my life endlessly, I've been taking each one for granted. But everyone else is taking their life seriously. I wasn't learning anything because I wasn't doing that. But I finally understand. I learned something from this life and I put all my effort into it. So, I'm sad that I didn't make it, but I feel satisfied just the same. It's a strange kind of satisfaction. I wonder how many of these memories I can keep. I get the sense that I'm going to lose my memory of this evening. If that's the case, I'll lose my memory of seeing Takano's face. I finally found out that Takano's the mastermind. Am I going to repeat the same world again, not knowing the truth? She killed my friends as if she were merely killing some bugs. I want to forget that. No matter how hard my death will be, I need to remember Takano's face.
私はくじけない。この記憶が、たとえ引き継げなくてもいい。がむしゃらに生きていく。6月の狭い日々にしか生きられなくなり。最後には、綿流しの日にしか生きていられない存在になってもいい。それが私の生なら、精一杯生きて。
僕も忘れません。きっと覚えてて、もしリカが忘れていたら、きっと僕が教えますから。
羽生、あなたはやっぱり、冷たい傍観者のふりをしていたのは、悲しさに、怯えていたからなんだよ。
僕も、みんなと楽しく過ごす未来に行きたかったです。
Hanyu started to cry like a baby. She's so stupid. She decided to abandon hope because she didn't want to deal with the sadness that she always felt on this night. But she ended up hurt and devastated anyway. Hanyu, are you happy this world's ending just like you predicted? I decided not to ask such an unpleasant question. The car stopped and two men pulled me out of the vehicle. We returned to the Furude shrine. One of my favorite screenshots. What is, or is what's coming up? Yeah, so that's what I was asking. Did people know at the time when it was released that there was going to be one more chapter? Or no, did people think this was like, this could be the end? Like what did people know when things are releasing? That's what I don't know. Oh, Hanyu cried like, oh, okay. There were several men waiting in front of the offertory box. Nearby, there were countless sharp knives laid out on the ground. They're gonna cut open my stomach with those tools and pull out my intestines. I'm pretty sure the number of chapters wasn't told beforehand. Took off all my clothes. Left the gag inside my mouth and the handcuffs around my wrists. I wasn't embarrassed to be naked in front of them. Rather, I was just furious that Takano was getting joy out of doing this to me. Don't forget this humiliation. The pain I'm about to experience should be carved into my soul forever. I'm not gonna forget this. Everyone worked together and we finally revealed who was behind it all. If I forget this, all my friends' efforts and deaths will have been in vain. I need to stay alive as long as I can so that I'll remember the pain.
羽生、目を背けないで。あなたも見ていなさい。そして心に刻んで。僕にはそのくらいの協力しかできないのでしょうか。触ることも喋ることもできない僕にはそんなことしかできないのでしょうか。それで十分よ。あなたが目を背けないでいてくれたなら、私も多分痛みに耐えられると思うから。
Hanyu nodded and sat right next to me while continuing to cry. We then looked up at the night sky together. It was shining brightly, as if it's taking pity upon me. We also looked at the faces of my murderers. The beautiful moon was cold. And with the fear of not being able to do anything. Hanyu's right. Not just Hanyu either. Everyone's here with me. They're watching. Why it wasn't struggle. I didn't care about Takano's crazy. Such wonderful world. I'm this fate, but I have no regrets. Of course, I'm still sad. I'm disappointed. Future was right in front of my eyes, and could almost reach. And so, did what we could. I have to be proud of myself. Eiichi voices disagreement. Still felt that we could have done more. We're almost there. We almost defeated this fate. We didn't win, but not because our enemies were strong. We didn't win because we didn't try hard enough.
でも、みんなは心を一つにして頑張っていましたのです。僕は見ていました。全部見ていましたのです。
いや、足りてなかったんだ。運命を打ち破ろうとする意志が全員で結束できていたなら、必ず奇跡は起こせたんだ。
そうなんだよ。全員が信じたなら、必ず奇跡が起こせるんだよ。
聡子もリカちゃまもみんなよく頑張りました。
ごめんなさいですわ、リカ。あなたが打ち明ける勇気を見せてくれたのに、私はあなたを救えなかったですわ。
Let's held my shoulder and cried.
そうよ。みんなで力を合わせたわ。それでダメなら仕方のないこと。ありがとう。本当にありがとう。多分、あまたの世界と同じ死を迎えるのに。こんなにも諦めがつく死は初めて。この死を代償に、私は本当に大切なことを学んだ。
リカちゃん、違うの。奇跡が起こらなかった理由。レナは知ってるよ。
Rena spoke gently, but she wasn't smiling at all.
ねえ、本当にみんな奇跡を起こそうと信じてた？
No. Hanyu did not.
未来を望むとき、全員が信じてなかったら、奇跡は起こらないんだよ。
Freaking Hanyu!
何言ってんだよ、レナ。俺たちは結束した。団結した。運命を打ち破れることを疑わなかったぞ。なあ、ミオン。
うん、そうだよ、レナ。誰も運命に勝てないなんて思わなかったよ。リカちゃんのこの運命を覆したいと思う誰もが絶対に運命を打ち破れると信じてたよ。
wonder if people, yeah. Oh, I didn't respond to what you said before, Ruben, but yeah, that was honestly what interested me as well. If people were thinking that like as well, because the way the chapter was structured, it seemed like, it was going to be, uh, you know, like hopeful, like a uplifting chapter. And I was thinking that the entire time with Satoko's thing, because like you don't know what's gonna happen.
そうですわ。リカですらそれを信じましたのよ。最後の最後に、リカは私たちを信じて、運命を打ち破れると信じましたのよ。もちろん、レナも信じたよ。でも、信じなかった人がいると思う。
On you!
誰がです？
What can it be?
ねえ、あなた。
Yeah! Screw you! Then I turned to Hanyu and asked her a question.
あなた、信じてた？運命に打ち勝てるって、信じててくれた？
Yeah, yeah. So, cringe, man, cringe!
触れることができなくても、喋ることができなくても、信じることはできるんだよ。
Literally! Thank you, Rena! My goat, man! You're just so good! Thank you, Rena!
あなたも信じてくれたなら、きっと奇跡が起きた。僕が信じて、何が変わったのでしょうか。僕は何もできない、非力な存在なのです。僕は見ていることしかできない。受け入れることしかできない。そんな僕が、信じるだけで、奇跡が起こせたというのですか。
ああ、起こせたな。
Keiichi stated it clearly. Wasn't trying to blame her, he was just stating the truth.
そうだね。あの時、こっちは6人だった。向こうは7人だった。あなたが信じてくれてたら、それだけで心は7つだった。だったなら、きっと奇跡が起きた。奇跡はね、触れたり、喋ったりで起こすんじゃないんだよ。信じる気持ちが起こすんだよ。
And now she's gonna cry. And now she's gonna cry. And then she's gonna be like, wah, wah, wah. And when it's literally her fault. Honey had realized this ending wasn't caused by fate. It was just because she didn't believe. In other words, this happened because she was so weak to accept this fate. She started crying again.
名前も知らないあなた。あなたにも、悲しみや辛さと戦う勇気が必要だった。あなたも、運命と戦う勇気が必要だった。あなたが望んだなら、みんなが望む世界に、きっと行けた。それが、あなただけが信じなかっただけで、たどり着けなかったなら、それは、あなたの責任なの。
It was hard to believe Rena could say something so harsh. Her words were piercing Hanyu's heart. Those words were necessary for me and for her. Only faith can create a miracle. Sounds like something you might hear in a fairy tale. It's not easy to put it into action. People suspect others. They don't trust others. Not have hope. It's difficult to believe. That's why faith can make miracles happen.
僕は、触れないのですよ。
Hey. And
喋れないのですよ。そんな僕でも信じれば奇跡が起こったというのですか。だって今こうしてレナとあなたは話しているよ。私はあなたと言葉を交わしたのはこれが初めてだけれど、いつもあなたがいるのを知っていた。あなたに言葉をどうすればかけられるか考えていたよ。私たちが楽しく遊んでいるとき、あなただけが輪の外から眺めていたことを知っていたんだよ。
The joke for now. What's a cat's favorite movie? The Sound of Music. You are stupid. Why am I the stupid?
だって輪の中に入りたくても僕は誰にも見えないし話しかけられないし僕を見たらみんな化け物だと言いますです。僕はもう二度と化け物と言われたくないのです。
誰が言うよそんなことを。俺たちと一緒にいたなら俺たちは仲間だ。
そうですわよ。仲間のことを化け物呼ばわりなんて失礼しちゃいますわ。化け物かどうかは容姿じゃなくて心で決まるんだよ。
Neon look like not detailed there.
ね、シオン。そういうことです。まあその見地から言えば私の方がよっぽど化け物ですよ。
頭に角が生えていても僕は化け物とは呼ばれないのでしょうか。
身体的特徴で化け物なんて誰も呼ばないよ。むしろキュートなくらいだよ。
レナに気をつけろ。変に気に入られるとお持ち帰りされるぞ。
I realized then that I was standing with everyone looking down at my own body. I see. Finally dead. I looked at my bloody body by my feet. It upset me that Takano was still enjoying the torture, but the body that remained was nothing but a shell.
大丈夫かリカちゃん。
死んだ人に大丈夫かとは変な話なのです。
Everyone smiled wryly. My first time feeling so much love in death. Everyone's already dead. That's why I feel so happy to be dead, to join them. Suddenly the world got darker. My body started to sink downward. I could feel myself disappearing. I saw the sensation of my friend's hands on mine.
行こうぜみんな。
そうだね。行こう行こう。あなたもみんなという言葉に含まれてるんだよ。ほら、いつまでも泣いてないで。行こう。
My vision had gone dark, but somehow I could still see. Then I offered a hand to Hanyu. Hanyu slowly took it.
羽生、あなたが私と出会う前に、どんな悲しいことがあったか知らないけれど、みんなは絶対にあなたを受け入れてくれるわ。
Okay, sounds good, Ruben. We'll see you another time. I'll definitely look to finish Higurashi when I come back from my trip, but it won't, like, I'll be leaving sometime May 20th, and I'll be back June, like, 7th or so. But yeah, I'll be streaming other stuff beforehand, but yeah. We're finishing Chapter 7 today, and Chapter 8 will be at a later time.
僕がいても楽しいでしょうか。僕はみんなに受け入れてもらえるのでしょうか。うん、だからおいで。
When I touched Hanyu's hand, like everyone else laid their hands on top too. They had hands to do so. Go, Hanyu. Accept this sorrow. We can embrace joy as well. Believe in the bright future that's waiting for us. The miracle will happen. We'll obtain it. Okay? Yeah. Said with a definite nod. What's outside of the well? Is it something worth fighting for? What's outside of the well? Is it something worth getting hurt for? What's outside of the well? I'm gonna fight and get hurt in order to find that out. Sure, what's waiting is a beautiful world, even if I get to the bottom of the well again. Key to the new world is my willingness to get out of here. When I can get out or not, we'll eventually get. Higurashi when they cry. Don't tell me the credits are gonna be like in light mode, man. Are you serious? Okay, well, we have to sit being flashbanged by the screen. Can I check the song right now? No. Why is this all? Is this the first time it's all in Japanese as well? Dude, I'm getting blinded, man. Why did they put it in white on a white screen? that's the end of chapter 7. Very interesting ending. Very cool ending. Very sad ending as well. But it ends at the very, very end. Ends with hope. I guess all we can ask for. But we knew it was going to be Hanyu. Like, Hanyu is the cause of this world failing. It's literally her fault. Like, we knew from the very beginning. Like, once, like, Rika was the one being determined, and then Hanyu was like, no, it's not going to work out. We knew, like, Hanyu was going to be the one that's, like, literally messed up everything. And then it just confirmed at the end. Because everyone didn't believe. Hanyu was such a doomer. We lost this world. Almost done with the series, yep. Then, we'll be... I don't know if like, I'm going back and forth of whether I want to go to Umineko immediately, like, or if I want to do Phoenix right beforehand. So I'm not sure. Mpreg, look. What do you mean, look? Did it have it up above? Emergency manual. The existence of a director must resolve the situation before the L5 begins engaging in antisocial behavior. However, they must ensure that the secret remains hidden. At that end, the director may also request assistance from secrecy. As for the secret preservation unit, it may require permission to fire. Request permission to fire from the institute director. All efforts made to secure the L5 subject to life. That proves obstructive to maintaining secrecy, their life may be forfeit. At all times, preventing exposure will be of highest priority. However, preserving secrecy will take priority over preventing exposure. Manual Appendix 9 FAQ. Q. Can Emergency Manual 34 be administrative? An outbreak of L5 occurs, putting matters beyond the control of Secrecy Preservation Unit. Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for determining what constitutes an out-of-control situation? Yeah, I mean, I'll have to decide. Additionally, Institute Director responsible for determining what yeah, okay. Yes. What? Why do they put 2 questions in one? And then they just answer yes. Like, I feel like this would be 1 question and then another question. And then, like, you answer yes for both. But not that important. An accident occurs and hazardous material, the H-170 series, is exposed to the public. Can Emergency Manual 34 be administered? Yes. Revealed to the public, the Secrecy Preservation Unit will take steps to resolve the situation. However, if this information is spread too widely, can Emergency Manual 34 be administered? Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for making that decision? Answer, yes. Make sure this is revealed to the public. Okay. Okay. So basically, if it gets out, the decision to execute carefully deliberate over it by an official. In case of emergency, does he have the right to at all time? Okay. So, did Takano act without the institute director, or so no, the official making the final call? Oh, however, the institute director made urgency. Okay, so I guess we didn't see her behind the... Why is this red? Emergency Manual 34. Reproduction or removal of the document is be read with the appropriate permission. Manual will be only applied upon by the highest authority. Nothing short of an official authorization shall count as approval. Furthermore, the apply this manual to decision is possible when it's required. Situation threatens to spiral out of control as the official accede. Final decision: preserve the secret and prevent incident. Following is an outline how to execute all patients or all evidence by the incident. The fact that by the incident in 48 hours. Director is not available. The officer must place. Director may demand support from the chief officer in executing its manual. Manual is expected to be executed. Chief officer may issue them. The final resolution must be executed in the following steps. Rise the incident of natural gas disaster. The Great Hinamigawa disaster. Here, but what is the incident? Quarantine unit must disguise themselves as police officers, isolate for a reason. Outside world. The official explanation must be gas disaster. Equipment for the operation stored at a vacant lot with a Yagouchi. Event of an external escape. The notice. Gas evacuate. Firearm. Firearms given by the chief. Take care not to fall under suspicion and corrupted for. Will you belong? What are they doing? Are they releasing? Or is it something else and they managed to make it look like a gas thing entirely? No, but they said gas, so they do have gas. Even the secret preservation unit give permission to force the Osh unit. Only the infected carriers. Populous. Alto. Further than closed documents for gathering procedure. On assembly, the unit must count the number of the infected and confirm that everyone is present. They're not to allow the infected to expose the true nature of the gas disaster. Additionally, the infected must not allow it to bring any large personal. However, they may take their valuables, including bank books and cash. Infected who refuse to assemble may be shot, but the chief of the secrecy preservation unit must carefully consider the decision to do so. Terminating the infected. Once they are assembled, the secrecy preservation unit must terminate all the infected. At that point, care must be taken to ensure that they no story pass. Be sure that they are treated as humanely as possible. If any problems occur, the unit has approval to fire their weapons. If a secrecy preservation unit will also make that decision. Bodies with gunshot wounds should not be placed together with those that have been poisoned. Concealment of this. The concealment unit. Collect all the classified items. Refer to the 193 items in the. Test the evidence. Go to the appendix for more detailed instructions. Research staff at the institute must assist with the operation. The unit must exercise extreme caution as they will be handling a number of toxic substances. Strict quarantine must be concealment block. The airproof door must be welded shut, and the ground area must be flooded. Entrance to the area must be welded shut and sealed completely. Furthermore, the concealment block will be. Yes. As you can see, eliminate all civilians who try to approach. Use of firearms is not kept in a. Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit may give the order to fire or shrink the village. Secrecy Preservation Unit must search the whole village for any survivors. Any person who is not must be. As found. But I don't get it. Why was Keiji not shot during Chapter 3? Survivors willing to surrender. Secrecy. Effective. Transfer the general force. Transfer the job. disaster recovery team. Oh, okay, so then it's the official disaster recovery team that found Keiichi. Well, all operations protection you the Hinamizawa area. Careful not to be inspected by the disaster recovery. Furthermore, the institute will continue lock until complete removal. Barriers. That the pathogen has the same characteristics as. Okay, I thought this was gonna be ending, but like, there's. Assume that the pathogen has the same characteristics. There's a queen. There's a queen of the carriers. Just like there's a queen ant and passed down. Who do they find? Legends and ancient writings that have been passed down in the village already confirmed that the carriers have a tendency to protect their king. The carrier can only survive within the boundary of the village. Probability of outbreak. As ordinary patients become ill, travel far away from the queen, it is assumed that the further and longer they are away from her, the higher the chance of symptoms of occurring. Also, mental state plays a strong factor as well. Estimated that those who are especially emotionally unstable or show strong yearning for their home are more likely to exhibit symptoms. It is believed that Takano relaxation method is effective. The patient still shows no showing them their home. Patients. Several patients that suffer from an extreme are incapable of functioning with society. Arson and murder have been confirmed. Present, severe problems for records show that terminal patients in Hinamizawa. They will not recover even if relocated nearer. Therefore, the decision to dispose of the problems soon must be made as possible. Recommend that the infected be quarantined and start behaving regularly. Backing down formally from medical. The collapse of the carrier. Aforementioned, predict that should the queen carrier die, affected villagers will exhibit terminal symptoms on a village-wide scale. Terminal symptoms 24 hours at the earliest and 48 at the latest. For that reason, based on the size of the village, neither ordinary officers nor the military chaos they may bring. I believe the best response is to treat them as an armed anti-national uprising and immediately suppress them with the military. January 1945. Colonel Koizumi of the Supreme Council, the direction Fumi Takano. June 23rd. Document E420, 58th Defense. ECOM 733. ECOM 733 is hereby offered to be on standby within 24 hours armed for urban suppression. The company commander must also thoroughly study Emergency Manual 34. Select personnel carefully with the preservation of secrecy in mind. Additionally, test the effectiveness of the vaccine with the support of the National Research of Infectious Disease, or those with positive. 23rd. Document E711, 58th Director, NIHS. Attention, Equipment Testing Company, 730. National Research Center, Infectious Pathogen Department. Official seal omitted. About the Hinamizawa. Information regarding the Hinamizawa syndrome. The Hinamizawa syndrome is an infectious disease caused by a virus. No initial symptom. Instead, their patient emotional state becomes unstable. The queen carrier dies. Main symptoms of patients and emotional instability appear with an extreme. Our patients are frequently unaware of their own mental abnormalities, making identification outside examination nearly impossible. The only way to do so is by observing symptoms indicative of terminal abnormal behavior. In many cases, patients engage in antisocial behavior, which is the largest issue created by the syndrome. Behavior is caused by hormonal factors. These mainly affects the mind as opposed to the body. In the end, the patients will experience an extreme irritation in their lymph nodes, and they will claw at their own throats or wrists. Only symptom that is recognized by the patient. Important points regarding the sterilization operation. This is an adversary notice virus control. Pathogen is an airborne infectious virus. Therefore, no effective penetration method and inoculation is required. After the mission is completed, all staff members will take a medical exam, and those with positive test results must move forward. Cautious when interacting with the carriers, villagers. After inoculation, any contact with bodily fluids will cause infection. Do not come into direct contact with them. Assumed infected individuals must use the testing syringe and test themselves for the disease. If you feel an extreme irritation in your lymph nodes, you have terminal symptoms. In that case, you must get tested immediately. Test results come out positive. Check the treatment medications. If the irritation persists after 10 minutes, second injection. If there's still no change in symptoms, seek treatment at HQ. You see 120. Your test results are not positive. Use on a healthy body symptoms of high fever, rashes, dilated pupils, and hallucination. This occurs, one must seek treatment at HQ. Damn. My pasta there. This might get to 3 hours? Seems like it, if it's this much. Government officials explain the entire situation in a luxurious meeting room. I didn't realize there was this much more. Like, I thought after, like, you know, the explanation or whatever, there's gonna be, you know, less. Like, after the actual story ended, there's gonna be, like, that's it. But it seems like that there's way more than I thought. The government officials explained the entire situation in a luxurious meeting room adorned with a marble table and crystal ashtrays. The chief cabinet secretary was in a panic. Never heard anything about this before. Feelings of panic were only natural. One girl's death was going to drive 2,000 villagers into a frenzy. Hearing that a disaster like that exists was surprising enough. On top of that, it was secretly researched for military use. Now there was a horrific situation caused by the director of the local research institute engaging in embezzlement.
そんな危険な病気初めて聞いたよ。本当に治療の手段はないのか。はい、国立研究所の説明では重度感染者の発症に対する治療法は確立したばかりで、最短で24時間以内、長くとも48時間以内に山村の人口2000人が全て末期発症するとのことです。甚大な被害と影響が予想されます。
The danger of this Hinamizawa syndrome was explained over and over again to the chief of secretary. He didn't have anything more to say. That didn't mean that he couldn't blindly accept it either. He simply couldn't believe that the only way to resolve the situation was to kill all 2,000 infected villagers.
そりゃ大変なことになるのはわかるけど、住民を皆殺しにするなんて、そんなの許可できるわけないだろう。そもそもなんでこんな危険な病気を隠蔽して研究なんかしてたんだ。そもそもそういう事態を招いたのはその関係の連中の責任じゃないのかね。第一、こんな危険な研究は今や日本の国益に貢献しないどころか損ないかねんぞ。どうして昭和の58年までこんな馬鹿げた研究をしていたんだ。報告書によれば研究目的のために撲滅を意図的に遅らせていたそうじゃないか。
Well, I don't know how long this is going to be.
汚職をめぐるトラブルの果てにこんな事態だ。これはテロだよ、テロ。東京の老害だ。こんな研究を指示していた人間には全員責任を取ってもらうぞ。いつまでも大戦の亡霊に取りつかれている連中を追放したまえ。これは東京の海を出すいい機会じゃないのかね。
責任者の追及は必ず行いますが、それより前に対応を考えなければなりません。
The man standing by the window slowly turned around and opened his mouth.
総理、ご決断。滅菌作戦を承認しない場合のシミュレートを聞かせてください。
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's still a lot more, it seems.
今から36時間後には村人のほぼ全員が末期発症。末期的な被害妄想に取りつかれ、反社会的な行為を行います。想定されるのは自殺、殺人、放火、強盗、強姦。
If all of this happens, why? If it's a, like, they're disguising it as a gas incident, right? As a gas thing. Wouldn't there be a lot of, you know, signs of this stuff happening? If it's a gas, if people died from gas, like they wouldn't have all these, like, you know, like all of this happen? Like, there would be signs on their bodies of that happening.
完全なる崩壊です。騒動はおそらくひなみ沢地区のみでなく周辺地区へも波及します。結果、世界規模での注目を浴びることになるでしょう。民間の独自調査の結果、奇病が原因であることが発覚するのは食い止められません。野党は奇病の対応の不手際を清掃の具に次期選挙を有利に運ぶでしょう。また東京内でも総理の対応に批判が高まるでしょう。彼らの指示は総理の列島改造に欠かせません。そして何よりも軍事目的での研究が政府内部から暴かれる可能性があります。
Rika in chapter 4 told Akasaka that she was going to die. Akasaka came back to Hinamizawa and he knows that she told him that she's gonna die this year. And he leaves. She's so right when she said, Akasaka, you're not here when I need you. What's the point of him coming back if he's not going to actually fulfill what he wanted to do initially?
逆に滅菌作戦を承認した場合はどう？
はい、自然災害を装いますので、やはり対応の不手際の野党追及は避けられません。ただし、奇病研究について発覚することはないでしょう。もし万が一、奇病の軍事的研究が世界に発覚したら、 我が国はアジア地域でのイニシアチブを完全に喪失します。
他国の援助を受ける政党は一大キャンペーンを張るな。売国どもめ、そうなれば野党の政権奪取は必至だよ。日本は宣戦布告なくして占領されるぞ。
シミュレートの結果では第2党第3党が連立した場合、与野党の勢力は完全に反転します。国際世論は我が国国連に対し NBC 兵器
他国の援助を受ける政党は一大キャンペーンを張るな。売国どもめ、そうなれば野党の政権奪取は必至だよ。日本は宣戦布告なくして占領されるぞ。
シミュレートの結果では第2党第3党が連立した場合、与野党の勢力は完全に反転します。国際世論は我が国を一斉に非難。近隣国は政府主導でバッシングキャンペーンを展開。高支持率を背景に対日外交を強硬路線に転換します。我が国は政治的焦土と化すでしょう。
国際信用はペンペン草一本残らんということかね。くそ、つまりひなみ沢地区と周辺自治体の数十万人だけの問題では済まんということだな。しかし全てを闇に葬るための犠牲が2000人とは多すぎる。日本国内において生物兵器研究が行われていたことが露呈することだけは避けなければなりません。私はどうやら大戦の亡霊の尻を吹く羽目になりそうですね。滅菌作戦は計画通りに隠密で実行できるのかね。
I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, their idea to wipe out an entire village and like cover it up, yeah, it's all just so bad. It's all just so bad.
滅菌作戦が発覚すれば奇病研究以上の大スキャンダルにな
I
るぞ。
don't think they're trying to justify it. I guess maybe justify is the right word. Yeah, maybe it is.
はい、ご安心ください。それにつきましては自衛隊内の機密保持に特化した専門部隊が当たります。このような事態を想定し研究と
But I
訓
mean,
練を
like,
重ねた部隊です。
they do need to think about the entire country, you know? Like, if, the country, you don't want the country to literally be ostracized from the rest of the world, you know? And, just completely cut off from, like, nobody wants to work with a country who was researching weapons of mass destruction in secret. You know, people might be, like, countries might be afraid. Your entire country could get declared war on by everyone else. If they're that, you know, afraid of what's happening. Of course, it probably wouldn't get that bad, but they're just thinking of potential of whatever.
万一の失敗はありえません。
都市沈黙戦という言葉は初めて聞きましたが、自衛隊に合戦を習熟した部隊があったとは驚きました。
ガス防護を知るには合戦を知らなければなりません。ガス虐殺に備えるにはガス虐殺を知らねばなりません。
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I agree, Diane. Like, they didn't want to use this. It's just Takano forced them to use it. But for what reason? Is it her own delusions that she enjoys playing God and, like, deciding what people's lives, like, whether they live or die?
装備実験隊は日本国が受ける可能性のあるすべての攻撃に対し日夜研
There are
究
some
を
people
重ね
like
てい
that.
ます。
Like, there's some people, some nurses and whatever who have been, you know, just kill people because they feel like they deserve to die. Couldn't see the line between ethical and unethical. Can any research be justified by the excuse of preparing against hostilities? That's also what preparation was about. Some evils must be accepted as necessary. The Idia Institute was one such evil.
明かせぬ研究を葬るために明かせぬ方法を取るか。
罪悪感の伴う任務だが、隊員から事実が漏れ出すことはないのかね。
ありえません。隊員は第一空挺から精鋭を選抜し、さらに高い忠誠心を持つ者のみで構成しております。実戦はこれが初めてになりますが、練度は極めて高く。
まさに暗殺の専門部隊ですね。
総理、どうか緊急マニュアル第34号の執行にご決裁をお願いいたします。
防衛庁長官、この作戦は必ず成功しますか？事件が大騒ぎになる前に犠牲者を最小限に抑えられますか？
はい、総理。すでに予備命令を発し、作戦準備に
Can
入
you
ってお
keep
ります。
casualties to a I guess like they only want everyone in the village to die. Or like, you know, they don't want it to spread. That's the idea.
直ちに出動して作戦に入ります。
私には人口2000人を虐殺する命令など下せません。
I mean, they definitely have shown, or he has shown a lot how Hinamizawa is just a nice town.
ですが、
The way people have
内閣
viewed
総理大
Hinamizawa
臣
in
と
the
して
past has been
犠牲者を最小に抑える義務もあります。
We have learned over time that's not the case.
総理、胸中をお察しします。
長官、どうか犠牲者が一番少なくて済む方法を選択してください。2000人がどうしても治療できないなら、不必要な犠牲者が出ないよう迅速な対応をお願いいたします。
はい、ご決裁を感謝いたします。必ずや朗報をお持ちいたします。
2000人の犠牲が朗報と呼べるならですがね。奥野君、東京の皆さんに近日中にお会いできる席を設けてください。
Like Okonogi?
今回の件について釈明を直接聞かせていただきたいと思います。
わかりました。
ところで、その問題の研究所長の入江氏は逮捕しましたか？
いえ、服毒自殺とのことです。研究の終了が自身の人生を否定されたものと悲観しての発作的行動と思われていますが。
Oh yeah, yeah, fair, fair. That's true. That is
彼
true.
を凶器に駆り立てた理由は
But
永遠に闇の
I
中
guess
と
the
いうこと
idea
です
is that like we always when we were in Keiichi's head and everything that happened, we always viewed it as like the us against you, that we were the you. But now it's been changed from actually like really just this chapter. Like every other time it was like even up to chapter 6, you know, but in this chapter in specific, it's been we were included in the us. This is the first time. So I guess that's why. The execution of Emergency Manual 34 is approved. June 23rd, 1983. Prime Minister, Director General, the Defense Agency.
皆さん、輸送の都合で荷物を持つことはできません。手荷物は禁じます。繰り返します。手荷物は禁じます。現金、通帳、印鑑の類だけを携帯してください。混乱防止のため車両避難は禁じています。
It was the middle of the night. Yet countless villagers were out and about. Some of them were locking their doors, some of them were watering their plants, and some of them were piling up food in their dogs' dinner bowls. Small children were crying in fear. Members of the town council were yelling angrily while counting up the villagers. Reportedly, the villagers have been cut off from the rest of the world after the volcanic gas gushed out of the mountains. A number of policemen and military units in the village added to the strong smell of sulfur in the air, dispelled any doubts the villagers may have. The more religious among the elderly were convinced that this was the curse of Rika Furude, who had passed away the day before. They were certain that Oyashiro-sama was enraged, that the door to hell had been opened. Soldiers wearing gas masks guided the villagers to the evacuation
なんで
center.
兵隊さんは災害なのに
皆さんが避難した後の家屋を守るためです。また災害に便乗して商店を襲撃するボートに対してです。
南沢にそんな輩はおらんのさ。
第一小隊避難誘導順調。了解。一個分隊を応援に向かわせます。
兵隊さん、じいさまの位牌を持ってんじゃならんがね。
位牌は構いません。急いでください。紹介の方は天候を怠らないように。 歩行困難な方は申し出てください。隊員が補助します。
おお、リカちゃまが殺されたからお社様がお怒りになったのじゃ。
お社様、お社様、お社様。
So
どうか怒りをお鎮めください。
what happened in chapter 3 then?
防災訓練通りに避難しちゃえ。班長は点呼終わったら懲戒役員に連絡せんかいね。
鬼ヶ淵から正気が
The
溢れてきたん
Satoko
で。
did not die in the Great Hinamizawa massacre. She was deemed missing.
お社様はお怒りだね。
こんなに大勢いるんじゃ助かる方法なんかなかったよ。村で死なせてくれな。
大丈夫です。輸送ヘリとボーガス仕様のバスが回されます。必ず助かりますから。
みんな営林署へ集まれ。4丁目は違うだろう。郵便局裏の公民館だぞ。
皆さん、防災訓練と同じです。落ち着いて災害時避難場所に集合してください。団体行動をお願いします。一人の乱れが全体の足を引きます。どうか団体行動を。家には必ず戻れます。
Villagers couldn't see the expressions under the soldiers' gas masks. Wonder what kind of expressions they were hiding under there. Villagers were, of course, lying to the villagers, knowing that they would never return to their homes again. One such trooper cried under his mask, but the villagers never saw his tears.
引き返してください。車両での避難は禁止されています。この先はガス流で寸断されており危険です。あんたにも硫黄の匂いがわかるでしょう。
When people tried to leave in their cars so as to take large items with them, however, the quarantine unit has sealed off all roads leading outside. The gas mask of the troopers and the smell of the sulfur persuaded them to return and obey their instructions. Some of them tried to contact Okinomiya. Their phones would. The lines were busy no matter how much they tried. Simply assumed that the phone lines were overwhelmed. Disaster. Some of the villagers had access to radios. They tried to figure out what the situation was like outside, but all they could hear over the radio was loud static. It was the same with the television. They couldn't contact anyone outside the village, so they were totally isolated. So they had nothing to rely on but the instructions of the police, the military. They were all like moths heading towards the light, never doubting that they would be safe there. One old war veteran listened to the noise from the radio and muttered,
アメさんの妨害電波食らった時もこんな音がしたね。
It turned out he was absolutely correct. However, he turned off the radio when his son urged him to evacuate. The villagers had all gathered at their evacuation point. Some of them were at school and some of them were at the community center. They were to stay in the building until the evacuation vehicles arrived. Soldiers told them to stay inside so they could keep track of the number of evacuees.
万一のガス流に備えて窓はすべて閉めてください。念のため窓ガラスはテープで目張りします。申し訳ございませんが。
よし来た。若いのは率先して手伝え。
People started to seal up all the windows and the vents with duct tape that was handed to them. Completely sealed every opening, even as they heard the disquieting conversations of the soldiers. Long past 3 a.m., but everyone was wide awake with fear. They were having an extremely long night. Coincidentally, the end of their nights had almost arrived.
全部お社様のたたりなんじゃ。リカ様、リカ様、お社様、お社様。
やっぱりフルデ神社の鬼隠しはお社様のお怒りの先触れだったんだ。
あの日フルデ神社は鬼の国に飲み込まれたんよ。リカちゃまは鬼たちに腹当たを食らわれたんじゃ。
They all started saying that the gas disaster was caused by the curse of Oyashiro-sama, Rika's death and the mysterious disappearance of her friends, and the 2 detectives were also the result of that curse. People started talking about being demoned away. They had no idea that Keiichi's and his friends' short battle sealed their fate for that night. More religious villagers had become convinced that the children and the detectives went missing because they volunteered to become a sacrifice to calm Oyashiro's anger after Rika's death. They didn't know the truth. They couldn't know. No, not one realized that Keiichi and all his friends' efforts had all been in vain. Indeed, in Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama. Why did it have to be that way? Before the series of mysterious deaths occurred. One real curse of Oyashiro-sama that frequently. In other words, who set them up? When this village was set up to believe that the curse of Oyashiro-sama happens every year. They really are just vicious.
サンサ、全小隊が点呼を終了しました。遅れていた自主避難者もさっき最後の家族が合流したようです。全員揃いました。
そう、いよいよね。 お社様のたたりが現実となる。お社様の生まれ変わりであるフルデリカを綿流しにするという冒涜によって、お社様の怒りが村に下される。それでこの5年間の連続したたたりは本当の神罰に昇格される。もう誰にも事件なんて呼ばせない。これは荒ぶる神の怒りなのだから。始めなさい。
中隊長より全隊員へ彼らのために1分間の黙祷を捧げよう。サンサ、1分だけご許可を。
お好きになさい。
Akuno gave him a disparaging laugh. The company commander crossed his heart and began.
天に召します我らの父よ、罪なき彼らをどうかお導きください。彼らの尊き犠牲がそれ以上の犠牲を防ぐことをどうか報いてください。そして願わくば罪深き我らをお許しください。我らが今日ここにあることをお許しください。
In fact, he doesn't follow any religion. However, he prayed because he felt the need to ask someone forgiveness. He wasn't even sure if he was saying it correctly, but he still prayed to God. He asked for forgiveness for committing his sin and continued to pray. Takano was speaking in a soft voice, talking to herself.
神がいつ降臨されるのかは誰も知らない。それは例えるなら、泥棒がいつ訪れるのかわからないように。だから予期せずしてその時を迎えて、不信心であったことに歯ぎしりすることがないよう、常に目を覚ましていなさい。エセ預言者たちは、神の降臨を声高に叫ぶであろうが、それに惑わされてはなりません。
One man heard her murmurs.
マタイの福音書ですね。
そうなの？祖父の好きだった言葉よ。報われる日がいつ訪れるかわからないから、常に勤勉であれって言葉だと思っていたけど。
今日が報われる日なのですか？
そうよ。あなたにはわからないでしょうけどね。
失礼ながら、主の降臨は慈悲深いものであるべきだと信じています。このような日にそれを例えられることは冒涜かと思います。
Trying to tell her that the verse of the Bible was inappropriate for this occasion. However, Takano simply laughed as though she had heard something very funny.
ごめんなさいね。あなたは神に試されなさい。私は今日を境に試す側となるのよ。
以上で黙祷を終了する。
End of the silence.
全小隊滅菌を開始せよ。
Order was given in as a hollow and reluctant a manner as the order can possibly be.
今こそ私の理想はすべて完成した。文字通りの理想郷がここにはある。ここでは私は神で、私のたたりは永遠に刻まれ、語り継がれるのだ。
People were packed into the classroom. They were afraid. Troopers closed the door of the classroom. People inside had no idea why they were doing it. However, they didn't suspect anything at all. One old man walked up to the door to open it because when it closed, it was far too hot inside the room. Collapsed all of a sudden. His wife tried to walk over to help him, but she also collapsed all of a sudden. And other people also started collapsing out of the room. It was really a very odd sight. What would make for a good exam? It'd be pretty amusing if they were dominoes. However, they were sitting by the window, watched this event happen before their eyes. They opened those eyes wider to try and understand what was going on.
ダム戦争をきっかけに、長き眠りからよみがえった荒ぶる神が、不信心なる者を綿流しの聖夜の旅にたたりを下してゆく。その一年一年の積み重ねが神の復活、お社様の意向の復活、たたりを恐れるという原始的恐怖への回帰。
Does Takano have some connection to the Dam War? And this is her revenge on the village? Wonder. The door creaked open slightly. Someone on the other side threw 3 spray canisters into the room. More people started to collapse. Those at the window. That was happening only in one room. Happening in all the other rooms too. It was happening in all the evacuation centers. Their hopes and their future. Taken away so quickly.
そして誰もがお社様のたたりを疑わなくなり、完全に復活した我は古きムクロの腹を内より破りて、今こそこの世によみがえる。お社様の怒りに触れるとき、地獄の釜が開きて正気があふれ出し、人々は逃げることもかなわず、ことごとく生き絶えるなり。その最後の審判が、たたりが、こうして実現した。
There was a commotion in the reception room by the principal's office. Someone had figured out what was going on, broke the seal off the window, and escaped outside. Other people tried to remove the seal on their windows too, but they collapsed. In a matter of seconds.
あなたは死んだら何が残る？身は腐り、焼かれ、骨は砕かれ砂になる。大地の肥やしになる以上の何が残せるの？
応接室で脱走発生。4名が窓から脱出。発砲許可。撃て撃て撃て撃て撃て撃て。
Soldiers shot the people who tried to escape in the back. Sound of the gunshots echoed in the silence. There was a noise filled with They helplessly fell down to the ground. Deaths were so pitiful compared to the silent deaths of the residential police officers. Those escapees tried to shoot back at them with his own gun. The shots could be heard throughout the building. Soldiers ducked into the shadows upon hearing them. Officer seized his chance and ran towards the gate, but just a waste of time. Not only is the range of the automatic weapons they were using longer than the length of a schoolyard, but as trained professionals, it would be nothing for them to shoot from that distance. The villagers had no choice. Whether they'd die from the gas without realizing what was happening, or they'd find out about the mission. Killed.
どうした？反撃されたか？応答しろ！
脱走者は全員射殺。銃声は駐在警官が反撃したものです。
射殺隊を回収しろ。一般犠牲者と一緒にしないよう注意せよ。
The soldiers walked over to the 4 fallen bodies. They needed to make sure that they were all dead, not just injured.
私は残した。名を残した。偉業を残した。
It's
たたりを残した。
so methodical, I
私の
can only
存
be
在
impressed
は
by it.
この長く封鎖されるこの土地で神格化されるだろう。そして近隣の町にて今日のたたりを逃れた者たちはたたりを恐れ、その恐怖を人々に語り継ぐだろう。人間の群れの記憶が私を超越した存在へ昇華させるのだ。
第一小隊より本部、営林署の滅菌を終了。脱走者4名は射殺。
第二小隊より本部、滅菌終了。脱走者なし。
第三小隊より本部、脱走者10名以上。現在相当中。
I mean, it's not just the action of taking lives, it's like how well thought out this mission was, you know, and the cover up, and that everyone, like, you know, it, like, from the very beginning, like, Takano planned this from the very, very beginning, from when, I still don't know if it's the very first Watanagashi murder, but at least the one after that.
制圧は時間の問題。
第4小隊より本部。
Minagoroshi.
滅菌終了。
Everyone dies. Everyone gets murdered.
脱走者なし。
第3小隊より本部、脱走者13名、全員の射殺を確認。 全員の滅菌を終了。了解。機密保持部隊の全小隊は確認を厳重に行われたし。
Akano was laughing to herself outside of the van. Inside of the van. Physically see all those people dying silently. She saw it anyway. She saw countless people dying without even noticing it. She saw it all in her mind. Akano waved her arms in the air. Okay, but I wanted to... Whatever. No one was watching her, but no one would notice what she was doing even if they were waving her, but Akano was pretending that she was the conductor of the silent funeral march.
サンサ、滅菌の完全終了を確認。通信妨害を終了しますが。
ええ、いいわよ。
施設処理部隊より定時連絡。機密搬出と溶接封鎖を完了。現在注水中。
交通封鎖部隊より定時連絡。封鎖線は異常なし。
通信工作部隊より定時で通信妨害を終了。電話施設の現状復帰を開始。
Akano was paying no attention to the reports. She continued to sing the melody of an orchestra. One operator spoke to her.
ご機嫌ですね。
ええ、最高に気分がいい夜よ。あなたには聞こえないでしょうね。この新しい神を称える賛歌が。
賛歌。
Akano laughed loudly, spreading her arms wide.
そうよ。称える歌。神のいなかったこの地に新しい神が誕生した瞬間を称える賛歌よ。このひなみ沢には神などいなかった。お社様という名が残るだけ。神がかつて存在した痕跡が残るだけの
She has some hatred towards
た
the
だの
village.
古ぼけた土地だった。
I'm guessing it's because of the dam
その
project.
地に私は再び神を取り戻させたの。どういうことかわかる？わからないでしょうね。今の世界にたたる神が何人いる？人が試すことに耐えられる神が何人いる？一人もいやしない。それを私がたたった。
Akano laughed as if she was the only one who could comprehend what she was saying. None of the operators inside the car could comprehend her laughter. Akano was satisfied to know that.
たたりなきは神にあらず、たたるゆえに恐れられ、恐れられるゆえに崇められる。それこそが神の真実。神が信仰を生み出すのではなく、信仰が神を生み出すのなら、でも太古の神々はたたったのよ。では、神のたたりとは何なのか。それこそが真の神の証だった。たたらない神など、人間に見下された神でしかないのよ。神の宿らぬ抜け殻の土地に、神が確かに存在した痕跡を見た私は思ったわ。これは天の啓示だと。ダム戦争が終わるまで、明治から100年にもわたり、ひなみ沢は神を失ってきた。それを私が蘇らせろという神の啓示だと私は思ったわ。そして天は私にありとあらゆる力を貸してくれた。
Oh, okay, so she was the person who started the first murder, but why?
天が与えたわずかの偶然が積もり、芽生えたたたりの芽を私が育てた。育まれたたたりは今や結実し、そうよ、わかる？つまりは、今宵は収穫祭！お社様の伝説に刻まれた最後の神のたたりの日。この日が訪れたからこそ、お社様の存在は今こそ絶対となる。あなたたちは今はわからなくてもやがて知る。私が成した偉業がどれほどのものか、どれだけ長く語り継がれるか。神はたたる。そのたたりを私は起こす。今こそ我はお社様のたたりなり。我をあがめよ。我が紡ぐはたたりにあらず、死にあらず。
Shakespeare's soliloquy moment.
我が紡ぐは歴史なり。歴史はたたりを語り、我が存在を永劫に語り伝えるであろう。我こそはたたりなり。肉でできた身を超越せし者なり。今こそ我は永遠を得たり。 我が身を呪えよ人間たち。そして我が偉大さを知るがいい。我こそはお社様なり。今こそ神の領域に至ったものなり。我は肉体が滅びようとも永遠にこの地で語り継がれるのだ。
I'm excited as well. How they fight back against Takano.
我はお社様。我こそはお社様のたたり。我をあがめよ。たたえよ。そして恐れよ。我が紡ぐはたたりにあらず、死にあらず。我が紡ぐは歴史なり。歴史はたたりを語り、我が存在を永劫に語り伝えるであろう。我こそはたたりなり。肉でできた身を超越せし者なり。この身がたとえ朽ち果てようとも、我が紡ぎし歴史は永遠に残り続けるであろう。今こそ我は永遠を得た
I
り。
don't know what I think.
我が身を呪えよ。
In every
人間
other
たち
world, right?
身が朽ちれば後には何も残せぬ無力さを呪い悔やみ恐れるがいい。
Chapter 1 is the only one where it's like, it doesn't line up with this, I feel,
我
right?
が偉大さを
Or
知
like
る
that I
が
can
い
think of
い。
right now. Or at least I can imagine what
我こ
happens.
そはお社様なり。今こそ
That's-
神
I'll
の
have to
領
think about that
域
after a
に
bit.
至ったものなり。
When she stops
我は
like
肉体が滅びようとも永遠にこの地で語り継がれて
No,
永
no,
遠
no.
の生
I
を
said
受ける
the
の
wrong
だ。
word. I just don't, because there it is. Chapter 1 is the only one I can think where she doesn't, well, actually, no, not true. Yeah, chapter 2 is, well, yeah. So, do we assume that this happens in every single chapter? Disaster every single time, no matter what. Because, like, for example, I'm trying to think, like, Takano was very important in chapter 2 and 5, right? Chapter 2 and 5 are very, sorry. Yeah. Takano's important in chapter 2 and 5. Takano's important in chapter 3. Takano's important in chapter 6. So, does she try to lead people along to get their, like, symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome triggered? I don't feel like she did that in chapter 1, though. She was, like, barely there in chapter 1. She only appeared for, like, a split second. Oh, I want to do the tips first, whatever. Hi. This is Ryukishio 7. Thank you for playing Higurashi When They Cry Kai, Chapter 7, Minagoroshi. This time around, the scenario was almost like the answer page in a book of riddles. Maybe the scenario was like a side dish we all enjoyed alongside all the scenarios up until now. You can take it how you like. I just hope you enjoyed it. I was very nervous about releasing the scenario because a mystery is only good when it's still a mystery. The scenario marks the end of that mystery. To be honest, I didn't want to release this chapter for a while. He was killed by Shion in 2 and 5, so was never pulled off. Couldn't argue for the plan to be executed. I see. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. So, So even if everyone comes together, if Takano completes her mission, then it's all over. So a lot of bad things happen that they have to overcome. Very interesting to see how they do it. Here's the one who told me Takeru told Keiichi. Oh, you're right. She did tell Keiichi about the previous murders that one time. And that's like how we first found about it in the first place. However, way too many similar stories are being published with no answers at all. Book of Riddles means nothing if there's no answer page in the back. Yo, Rye Guy, thank you for the $1. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Coming with an answer when you have no way to see if it's right or not is a little sad, I think. If there are no answers, you can't get any joy out of reading a book of riddles. How are you doing? Yeah, they are literally fighting. I mean, the thing is, it's not a government's conspiracy, right? It's just those specific people, right? And the government are forced to act later on after Rika dies. But they're just fighting the secret organization initially. Drink water. All right, let's see if it picks up. Good to see that there are way too many stories out. All for this kind of joy. That's why I decided to release something that you can't compare your answer to from the series. Since this world already a regular presentation, there may not have been many people who reached what might have been called the right answer. But it's not really whether your answer was right or wrong. Excuse me, it's more about how many questions you raised when reading the story and how many answers you were able to find. Sure, Ruben, yeah. Thank you all very much for the solutions you sent me. They are all very wonderful theories, and some were thought out so much more than the actual story. I frequently thought about making them the right answer. Where I laugh. Also, your support has given me courage to finish writing the 7th chapter of the series. Thank you very much for supporting Higurashi. What'd you do today, Ryan? Finally, I would like to apologize about how I portrayed the Child Consultation Center. Oh, well, here he apologizes. I don't know what it was like in 1983, but Child Consultation Centers are not mean places like I depicted in my story. Maybe the characters look so unfeeling, but in reality, the government today is the #1 hero for us civilians. In fact, those involved with child welfare and youth education are all extremely passionate and selflessly devoted people. Absolutely nothing, I just brain rotted. Fair! You know what? Based. Sorry for giving them such a negative image in this chapter. Next chapter, Matsuri Bayashi, is going to be the last one of the series. I'm overwhelmed by the pressure of the writing the last chapter of Higurashi When They Cry, which turned out to be such a long story. I hope you'll continue your kind support. Thank you all very much. 07th expansion. 07. There's one more tip we also need to read, Ruben, and then we'll watch your video. This fragment's end. Yeah, as I said, Cradle Song is one of my favorite ones. One of my favorite songs from it. And then Birth and Death as well. Rika finally managed to assemble all the pieces to her puzzle. We don't know yet if her memories will pass on to her next life. Rika always loses the memory of her death. I don't know if she can retain the memories of what she discovered. What did you think? Did you have fun? Once you find out the answers, collecting them isn't so fun anymore. You don't agree? See, some might find something different by examining some old fragments. After all, the time we have here is endless. We have to find something to play with because there's nothing here to do. For me, playing with these fragments stops being fun when I find out what's inside. If you can tell me how to have fun with them, even so, that makes you pretty smart. What? You want to know what I play with? I don't play. Just killing time. I like to imagine what Rika could have done in order to achieve the future she hopes for. I like to imagine a world that would have been happy for all of them. Kind of how these words were set up by looking at the previous ones, right? I like to analyze what would need to change in order for Rika to win against Takano. You want to see what's on my mind? You're bad. I'm not showing that to you. In that world, Rika and her friends survived their struggle. Broke through the fate of June 1983. Just my imagination, not for me to share with you. I'm sure that world Rika's about to create is better than anything in my imagination. Even if she's stuck on June 19th in 1983. For this now ended world will remain one of Rika's brightest fragments, I'd say. No matter how much she struggles, If she actually overcomes her fate, it will be the most brilliant fragment of the story. For the life Rika lives makes for a better story than my boring imagination. Want to know what happened to Rika? Made a decision to do her life once again with Hanyu. Trying to live her life with all her might. That's what she learned from this world. Her next life has already begun. I do wonder what that life is like. I'm gonna go there now to check. You wanna come with me? Nice! Cool, and that should be all the achievements. What I wanted to ask Ruben, yeah, I was thinking about this during the time. How did the scene where Takano was killing all of the club members play out in the anime? Was it like just as slow? What is that, Ryan? September. Oh yeah, I saw you playing Labyrinthine earlier. How was that? Not slow as pacing wise, but she did kill them one by one as shown. Okay. I do feel the conversations before added a lot to them. A lot before she killed them. Higurashi Origins. What is Origins? It was so fun. I was showing. Oh, okay, yeah. After Keiichi was shot, everyone scattered. Okay. It definitely was. There was a lot of fun horror game moments, like from that game. Higurashi. If I remember correctly, Mion or Shion sacrificed herself. Okay, so it wasn't like everyone got captured and she just went one by one. Everyone still got killed, but like they were all running when they got killed. It was slightly different, I guess. Yeah, okay. So they didn't have the time stop thing where they talked? The time stop didn't happen, okay. Okay, there. I feel like... I guess it... You know, the time stop thing might be... I'm on the... Wait, I'm on When They Cry 13 right now. What do you mean 13? But yeah, I guess the time stop thing is like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, Hanyu's... Whereas the entire thing is that, like, she didn't think this world... Like, she didn't believe in this world. But yeah, I don't know. Keiichi just shot and said what he said to them as he died on the ground. Okay. Yeah, I think the Keiichi thing is important to say. Yeah, you just missed, basically, Ryan, all of our friends getting killed in front of us. Being shot one by one. That's what you missed slightly earlier into the stream. That's, like, yeah. Oh, like, you went through... You're on segments. Okay. Yeah, wait, what? Yeah, that's basically what happened. It's, Essentially, we uncovered a government, or not even, a secret organization that's been running things, and, like, someone was destined to die, and we tried to fight back, but we still got caught, and then, like, the main villain, she just basically shot our friends one by one in front of our eyes. That's what happened. The village massacre is definitely better in the visual novel. Yeah. And then, also, after that, the entire village that we were in got, like, gassed. They actually got put in gas chambers and got gassed. Some person, yeah, I guess so, yeah. No, I meant title-wise chapter 1 to 8 of Higurashi and 5 of Oh! Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. That is a really weird way to put it. Like, I didn't even consider that, but yes. No. So... Oh, okay, Takano asking the... Oh, I see. Okay, I was gonna say, like, it didn't make sense, like, her asking it, but no, okay. Yes, if it didn't establish that in the anime, then yeah, it would not have made sense for her to ask that. It is a bit weird, I agree. But yeah. I'm gonna go now. I'm really hungry. I'm gonna get some food. And I think we'll probably continue with Dave the Diver tomorrow. Yeah, and then I'll probably be playing. I don't know how long I'll play it for. You know, I'll see how many more streams I play it for. If I still like am enjoying it, or if I want to do something else. I know. I want to play some eugenics as well. She's so nasty for that. Yeah, but yeah. I'm gonna go, and I will be back with something, maybe more Dave the Diver tomorrow. If not, maybe I'll see something else entirely. But yeah,